Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
Ladies, it's time to break up this little love fest. Potty, Casty. Potty. Whoa.
Oh my God. He's smiling and raising his coffee, drinking it satisfied with that.
I was looking at Elena's face and she just looked at me.
I didn't understand what was going on.
Right.
Yeah,
I
no,
was
it's
so
fair.
confused.
You thought I was reprimanding the two of you.
Yeah.
You have to break it up.
Ladies.
It is my nickname. I have Manuela.
Is ladies?
No, it's Patty. Whatever the fuck.
Potty, right. Potty and
sorry.
Casty. Yeah.
Potty and
Right.
Casty. Yeah, you're Casty. Okay.
I'm reading a BuzzFeed article about things you don't know about Parent Trap.
I read it this
Oh,
morning.
yeah, we
There's
read it.
nothing
It's
in
really
it.
good.
So the movie's for Hallie, right? That's the dedication at
Her
the end
daughter.
of the movie. Her daughter.
Right.
But she's got another daughter, Annie.
Right? Well,
What the?
Oh,
is she chopped liver?
So she named them after the two daughters.
but was she born yet?
Maybe not. No,
yes,
they're in.
yes,
yeah.
because
They
they
were
are
divorced by
named.
this point,
They are
yeah.
named
Oh.
after the
Right.
daughters, the
Oh,
real
yeah.
daughters.
And
so-
Hallie is in the movie.
Yeah, Annie
Hallie
plays
one of their bunkmates.
Annie plays the towel girl, and
Okay.
Hallie plays the one who asks where a bunk is. Right?
Hallie has a lot more screen time, and Hallie's also the one who went on to be a director in her own right. Wink, 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 wink.
This is true.
Wink, 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 wink,
Oh
wink.
my God.
Ben, I think there's a leak in the ceiling. Or there's a leak in the boat. Hello, everybody. My name is Griffin Newman.
David Sims, and I rock the mic.
Okay, stop stealing my lines. This is a podcast called Blank Check. It's about filmographies, directors who have massive success earlier on in their career in a given series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. Sometimes those checks clear, and sometimes they bounce, baby.
Mm.
This is, for the first time ever, a mini-series demanded by the fans.
A Fan's Choice miniseries.
Yes. We did a March Madness tournament, a bracket of 32 directors, and someone who we thought was a fairly low seed, who we thought would be interesting to do, but had no
What was her
expectations.
seed? Do you remember?
I think she was probably right about the middle.
I'm gonna find it.
But she was the juggernaut. Nancy Myers steamrolled everybody.
Yeah.
She started off, I think, not as like a gimmick candidate, but as sort of like an underdog, a Cinderella candidate, right?
This would be an interesting person. We assume one of the
She
more
was the 18th seed.
crazy.
Yeah.
But it's because she's generally so underrated. But
Right.
cinephiles love her, and she's never talked about in depth enough. And so
That's the big thing.
the
I
first
think.
opportunity
Yeah.
you have, you vote for Nancy.
She came up against all these guys who are sort of like classic blank
Yeah.
checkers, right? So Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
She edged him 52-48. I'm actually going to
Wow.
run through this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Blank Check Wiki. Paul Thomas Anderson was her second round match.
Who we assumed
53-47.
We thought it was
Who's-
probably going to come
People
down.
always say like, "Oh, can you
Right.
do a PTA miniseries?" What you know?
was
like,
that before Phantom Thread?
no, it was post
after.
Oh,
thread.
wow.
Post thread.
I would have
This was
loved that.
March 2018.
I
would
think
have
we
hated it.
sort of thought it would come down to PTA versus Fincher. It seemed
Sure.
like those are the two obvious sort of
Yeah.
like fanboy picks that will probably lead the way.
Then in the quarters, right? So these are close vote.
Yeah.
52-48
Right,
and
she's
53-47.
squeaking out wins.
Then she's got Sam Raimi, 56-44. So
Yeah.
she's getting a little bit
Wider
of distance.
margin.
Then she goes up against my man, Michael Mann.
Uh-huh.
And I assume that would be closer just because and then she thrashes him 58-42.
Yeah.
And then
Because
Fincher,
what's worse-
59-41.
What's worse than two guys talking about Michael
Then-
Mann for 2 hours and a half?
Hey.
Get
No
ready.
offense,
It's
but-
2019, baby.
Sorry.
I'm going to make that happen.
You just have to get loads of girls on the podcast for those.
Yeah.
It'd
Yes.
be more
They
interesting.
got thoughts about the man. We
I
love
love-
to talk about
Love
man.
Heat.
Yeah.
Don't like
Yeah.
Manhunter, but it's okay.
Hashtag not all men.
David is
fucking
mad.
upset. No, I'm not mad.
David's sensitive. But this is
Yeah, very sensitive.
we're excited because we always thought oh, she'd be an interesting person to do. We've talked about it for a long time actually.
She was one of our. Yeah, it's true. We keep doing the people who are in that original soup of ours, like
Right.
the original suggestion. She
She
was
was
always
always-
up there.
And I think we always just thought I don't know if we're going to lose listeners. I don't know if people want to hear us talk about her within
I
our
think
regular
the
listener
biggest
base.
fear we had was that she makes movies that are all similar. You know, like
Yes.
sometimes we like directors like Ang Lee who work in all kinds of genres. Nancy Myers is, She's in her lane.
she
likes her lane.
I'm just gonna
She's the master of her
gonna
lane.
confess it early on because it's sort of the original sin of this miniseries. For a long time, I had vetoed the idea because I didn't like her movies, and I thought,
right, you
I
thought
didn't
you were
want
just
to do
going
a
to be too
miniseries that
negative.
critical.
Right.
And then I had a sort of reawakening after I saw The Intern on a plane.
Uh-huh.
The
I was
Intern is, I don't know. All her movies are so weird.
Yes.
Oh, no, she's
They're
deeply
too
weird.
weird.
That was
They're
always my
like-
argument for her.
Right. And then I started reassessing everything and then sort of appreciating where she stands within the canon, especially as her type of movie has kind of died on a studio level. It made me see the greater value of her. And so then she was more in the soup. And then I think we were both pleasantly surprised that she won because it gave us an opportunity to feel like confident in covering her.
Yes.
But this, of course, is a miniseries called Something's Podcast.
Damn right.
And it's Potta.
It's podcast.
PTA tried to stop it, but it's Potta.
Fincher laid his body on the tracks. He got run over.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Got twisted. And this is her debut film, which is a very odd debut film in relation to what her career became in certain ways.
In certain ways.
It's called The Parent Trap.
Yes.
It's
called The Parent Trap. It's a remake.
It's a remake.
Of a 1961 movie?
1961 film.
Which was in and of itself the fourth adaptation of this book. I didn't realize
Lottie and Lisa.
this is a German book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
He wanted to make it as a movie originally, and Hitler didn't greenlight it.
Fucker.
I swear to God.
It would have been
pitched as a
awkward.
movie-
He was really not a great guy.
Did
No,
Hitler
no.
just think why would the parents each take one kid? There's not a logical consistency
this is
here.
cruel
They don't
parents
stay
we
in
have
touch.
here.
Like,
Yeah.
I understand you don't want to be together, but like, was that the pitch meeting?
That was the thing. Hitler's studio notes were brutal.
Let's
Let's
just
move on from this, please.
get off this right away.
But
I'm glad
genuinely.
that she's not remaking a Hitler accepted movie.
Nancy Myers is
Yeah.
Triumph of the Will. Like,
She's like, okay, let's have my take now. Like, I know we had
Well,
Hitler's,
the
but
problem is, if Nancy Myers made Triumph of the Will, it would make being a Nazi look so luxurious.
very wholesome.
They got such great
Yeah.
kitchens.
I said we're getting off of this. Off.
Oh my
All right.
God.
So there's a 1961 Disney movie. It's called The Parent Trap.
which is
It
the
stars.
fourth adaptation of the
I
German
understand.
book.
Yeah, it stars Haley Mills herself
Yes.
as who was Pollyanna. That was her
She was
breakout
the
role.
definitive Disney star of the time.
And it's got Maureen O'Hara.
Yeah.
And I seen that movie several times because for some reason we owned it on VHS and I would
Yeah.
watch it a lot as a kid.
Mhm.
Haley Mills. And I remember I asked my mom, like, how do they, because my mom was like, it's one person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do they do that? And I remember my mom going like, I don't know, mirrors. I mean, being like, that doesn't, what? Anyway.
There also was a TV remake, was there not? Like a Wonderful World of Disney.
I think
TV
it's
remake?
yeah. I can find.
I
it.
want to say like late 80s, early 90s.
No, there's 3 TV sequels.
Oh, weird.
And they're all
Oh,
about like
right.
Haley Mills's kids
Right.
and shit. Like there's
Oh,
all
boy.
kinds of like generational dynamics.
because it's genetic, right?
Twins,
To have
having twins.
So
Yes,
she
yes, I
probably
do.
get some twins at some point.
So let's introduce our
what
guests.
a good premise.
Come on.
I know. I think twins are like underrepresented, but they are very cool.
But
and
don't
we
that
should
many-
represent them a lot.
But
Twins
not
are-
that many jokes you can do. Like I don't know how you can do a whole franchise around jokes around twins.
Well,
Like,
it's all about
oh, she can take your
Well,
place.
they
Yeah,
look
well,
alike, and
Right.
so they can pretend to be the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that. Yeah.
So like,
wouldn't know about
there's
that.
a lot. I mean, Sister ran for like 100 episodes on
Yeah.
that premise.
And it never stopped being funny.
But
for a
Sister
second.
Sister's bit was like, she's, kind of a neat freak, and this
Right.
one's messy. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, look alike, but so different. And then the dad's the opposite. And the mom, right? The neat freaks is the daughter of the messy mom, and then so on and so forth.
This movie does a variation on that.
Talk about Sister Sister some more.
Yeah. Like in the twin pantheon, you have the 2 Parent Traps, right?
Sure.
Right.
You have twins,
Arnie and Davina.
right? You have Dead Ringers,
Oh, great movie.
Prestige.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like there is like a pretty
Great
good
movie.
Jack
collection
and
of
Jill.
Jack and Jill. I mean,
Adaptation.
we're talking about some of the great films of all time.
Adaptation.
The Man in the
Adaptation's a
Iron
good twin
Mask.
movie. Man in the Iron Mask.
Fuck. I'm Googling twin movies.
L'amant double.
Yes. Double
Double
Impact with Bad Dam.
Oh, right.
That's true. What
Yes.
a great film.
Twin Dragons with Jackie Chan.
Right.
I feel like a lot of action stars at one point they were like Jackie Chan and Jackie
Yeah.
Chan. Like that's the pitch.
What's better than one Jackie Chan?
Every
Yeah.
Olsen
Two
Twins
Jackie
movie, obviously.
Right.
Yes.
You know.
Which It Takes Two is kind of a shitty half remake of Parent Trap.
It Takes Two, Winning London,
Yeah.
Passport to Paris when
Sure.
they went to Paris.
New York Minute,
Paris.
where they went to
Right.
New York.
Yeah.
New York Minute when
Had
they
to
went
go
to
to
New
a
York.
Simple Plan concert, I think.
Sure.
Detective Jim's dad.
How the
Truancy
West was
Officer Jim's
fun.
dad.
I'm just reading out
Yeah.
Olsen Twins movies.
Jesus, there's so many.
They
SeaWorld
made a
Mystery.
lot of movies.
Yeah.
They would make like one a year.
Oh,
Like direct to video.
What's that movie with Selena Gomez? Is it Selena Gomez?
the one where she's like,
It's called.
confused
It's not
for rock
Saint Tropez.
star.
It's like Monaco or something.
Oh, yeah, no, it is
yeah.
called Monaco. I think you're right.
Monaco. It's
Uh,
so good. That's a really good film.
I
but
have
it's not
never
a
seen
twin. It's just a doppelganger.
Is it not Selena Gomez?
I think
think
that's
it's-
more of a
yeah,
Prince
but
and a
she's-
Pauper thing,
but
right?
she's-
Monte
yeah.
Carlo, not
Monte-
Monaco.
Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a doppelganger thing,
Yeah.
but still like.
But it's one.
So she
actress.
plays.
She
Oh
plays
yeah,
two
she
people.
plays two roles.
Yeah, it's
So
such
right,
a good
that's a
movie.
Prince and Pauper.
Right. That's
I see.
then
Yeah, yeah,
that category you file in your Daves.
yeah, Dave,
You know,
right.
the movies where two people happen to look the same
Oh,
and
yeah.
can switch places.
Yeah, we
Ben
gotta
is
introduce
worried
our
about
guest.
something.
I
We
think
have to
that's what-
introduce our
Oh, yeah.
guest.
I said that.
Our guests are experts
Right.
on two major
cinema.
subjects. First and foremost, experts on cinema.
Okay.
They're both incredibly intelligent, well-regarded, well-respected film critics. But they also are experts on being twins.
Boy, oh boy.
It's a knowledge.
We're
It's
born.
not.
We're born with that expertise.
Yes.
Yeah. We didn't have to do anything to gain it.
Returning guest, Manuela Lazic.
That's
Hi.
right.
It's me.
First-time guest, Elena Lazic.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Very
Oh,
nice
thanks
to
for
be
having
here.
us.
Uh,
So we're gonna do a lot of that talking at the same time, probably, but we're gonna try not.
If you
to.
can recognize our voices.
What's it like
So-
to be twins, guys?
I don't know. I've never known anything else.
Yeah.
It
that's
sucks.
interesting. It sucks. There you go.
Like
My
now I have
cousin
to
just
drag her here. Like I was the star of the show.
What is this?
Yeah.
My cousin
What
just
is
said
the show?
twins.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How is it?
Seems like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
They seem happy though.
That's always the thing. I think just the parenting aspect of it, I think about a lot. Just the two at one
Well, there's
time.
that thing of
Yeah.
like, you know,
But it's
like
quite easy because they can play with each other.
Yeah,
You don't
sure.
have to do
Our mom-
anything.
right. There's
Yeah.
there's things that are solved, and also like say you want to have two kids. Hey, you just had two kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You're done. That's it.
when our mom had us, she didn't want two kids. She just moved to a new country like 2 years before.
Right.
She barely spoke the language.
Yeah.
But she said that because we were together all the time, it was easy. She could just leave us
Interesting.
there in the room
Right.
and we'd play together.
Yeah.
We
So-
developed our own little language apparently at some
Did
point.
you?
Yeah, we would just say things that don't.
An
that are not words.
idioglossia. That's what those are called.
Oh,
Mm.
That's like a quite a phenomenon. The twin language thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably didn't last until like when we started actually to speak. We dropped it. But
yeah,
but it was a thing.
I have a
Secret language.
friend who had younger twin sisters where it apparently took them a longer time to drop it.
Oh.
And it was like a big point of concern in the family that they would never, not that
Yeah.
they were nonverbal, but they were not verbal in a way that worked for
Necessary.
anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like my best friend, one of my best friends from England is a twin. And don't
sorry,
fuck
David?
fuck right off. I don't
Thank
want to
you.
do
We're
it.
Pause.
gonna get to that
No.
with the movie,
The
though.
I
podcast.
swear to God.
Don't worry.
And
He's doing the bit, and you're going to have to cut all of this out.
Yeah.
you know, I feel like his mom like sort of insisted on him and his brother. They both went to the same school, but in
Right.
being in separate
In the United
classes.
States,
You got to make
drop
those
that out.
decisions of like, do you want to just sort of like have them be a
Yeah.
pair, or you want to push
Well,
them apart? Is that
we
going to be a good
tried.
idea? Yeah.
We tried for a long, long time. We were not in the same classes and we took different things to
Sure.
study. But then eventually we both ended up taking Latin and Italian
Sure.
and wanted to do English. And so they had
there
no
was
choice.
only one
Yeah.
classroom
Oh,
that
right,
was
you
going to do
had
that.
to be in
so
the
Yeah.
we
same
had to-
class.
And at first we're like, this is horrible. But then
Interesting.
it was really fun until it was horrible again. But then it's fine. No, but like we were afraid of having competition. Then we're like, oh, actually,
Right.
no, it's support. And then we're like, okay, no, this is a bit shit. Like, but it was fine. It was
But then
fine.
we ended up high school with exactly the same amount of like points on the final exam.
God.
yeah,
Really?
the brevet du collège.
That's the points that you gain through all your all your grades throughout
Like
the
the
whole
last
school.
4 years
Yeah.
or something.
And it was just like we didn't get the same grades, but we end up with the same amount, literally the same.
that's crazy.
That was really weird.
like everything combined together would
Yeah.
end up
Yeah.
averaging out the same. That's nuts. And then the two of you have also like worked in two different fields
Mm-hmm.
that are the same.
That's
I'm phrasing this poorly.
No, it's
You know,
there's a lot
but you
of
like
doubles.
twice have ended up in the same career.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the first one, it's because we look the same.
right.
So
right.
it's interesting. With modeling is because we both look the same and the same age, and we got into it because we were found at the same time,
You were
being at
together.
the same supermarket. So someone
Which
spotted
supermarket though?
us in our hometown.
Yes.
It doesn't
Clermont-Ferrand.
exist anymore, I think.
Doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
they tore it down. But history
They
was
should
made
have put
there.
a plaque, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we're
They
gonna eventually when we're rich and famous.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we started writing about movies because we both like movies, and we both went to study movies because we were like, well, we happen to like the same thing.
Yeah.
Movies are
So
good.
It's not, and,
Yeah.
and we don't even do exactly modeling the same way.
No.
When we model, like every time we meet clients, they're like, "Twins, that's such a good idea for the next project." I'm like, "Oh yeah, great!" But then every single client has that idea, so it's
Yeah.
like they think it's very
They
original,
think
but
it's
it's
the
not.
first
But
one.
it's really fun to do it together because we know each other. But at the same time, like we don't necessarily do all the same stuff in modeling, but also in writing.
Oh yeah.
Like we have quite a different writing style.
One is better than the other.
Yeah, don't tell you which one.
I will also say, like, I haven't done like modeling, but I've had to do these like photo shoot, like promotional photo shoot things, and I find it very like I get very self-conscious when I'm the only person there
Mhm.
Yeah.
versus
True.
when you're like in a photo with another person. It's very odd when it's a bunch of people surrounding you in lights.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
it's sort of silent. Everyone's just staring at you. I imagine there's like a sense of security in
yeah.
being
I mean,
able to do it together.
we started when we were like 15, 16, and if we had been alone, we would never have done it.
Yeah.
Like, our parents were like, okay, it's fine because you're together. So,
Right.
And it's true that it's
To look out for
easier.
each other.
Like when I
Yeah.
have to shoot with another model that I don't know, it's maybe better than by myself, but it's still like really weird because we don't necessarily understand each other's,
behavior,
pose, language, or whatever.
chemistry. There's no
Yeah,
chemistry.
there's no chemistry. Whereas if we're together, like it's just the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the thing this movie does that I feel like a lot of twin movies do, where it's like they're very different. Like they love this idea of the twins
Right.
being opposite, and then there are the few things that they're exactly the same on,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
which are so like kind of stupid and small
Yes.
and just kind of like blendery.
They are blendery.
Yeah.
Certainly in this movie.
Blendery, so you don't know what that means.
I have no idea what it means.
Please.
How can I explain?
I didn't realize that was a
the,
blank check.
the blender, is that right? What do you mean? Yeah. The
Yeah.
blender is like something that,
Term invented by Alex Ross Perry. Shout out.
yes, Alex Rossberry coined that term.
Yeah.
It's when a director, is it across several films or is it in one movie? I can't remember.
It's like limited to a film.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like a character who has like one weird thing about them. And so it was in one film where is it?
It's Enemy of the
Enemy of the
State.
State.
Enemy of
as
the
Will
State.
Smith keeps talking about his blender.
He has a blender. And it's like, it
And-
doesn't
right,
serve any
it's cer-
purpose.
Right. It never, it's not the end. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, the blender is what I'll put in the machine to make, it's just
Yeah.
a thing to like
That's
make
right. I
him
give him
seem like a real
personality,
person.
yeah.
Right.
The most
yeah.
succinct way he's ever put it, it's a thing that only exists to be a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? It serves no story function. It doesn't tell you anything about the character other than there's like a specific
Yeah.
that they can keep on going back to.
I quite like those.
I
Like,
do
It
too.
gives a like a human dimension.
Right.
to-
That's the idea. Is it's like
Weird
a quick
You gotta do it
fix to
fast.
make
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In that movie, it's when they eat the Oreos with peanut butter.
Right.
It's
They're
not
like,
a
oh my
thing.
God,
And they're like, we both
yeah,
do this.
Yeah.
And I've never done that.
I read that Nancy Meyers just like wrote this because she was like, I need a weird thing.
Right.
So I was like, oh, it's actually not a thing? Like, I was like,
Did she invent
just
it?
made it
apparently
up.
She invented it.
She
And
just
it's-
made
I was
it
like,
up.
that sounds just insane. But then I was like, maybe Americans do it because they say.
Apparently, they
apparently
don't.
it's not.
I tried Oreos with like sorbet the other day, which I thought was really good.
With
Sorbet?
Yeah.
That's probably
Well,
decent.
that's-
You just
I
have
mean,
like
was
sorbet in the
decent.
house?
I bought some sorbet. Went sorbet
It's summer.
shopping.
What flavor?
Raspberry.
Good flavor.
That's a bit intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
The Parent Trap.
The Parent Trap.
Well, so Nancy Myers, right? I think,
Yes.
yeah, as you say, her big argument
Ben's shaking
is
his
we're
head.
getting on the Parent Trap. It's fine, Ben. It's going great.
We get there.
Ben's Mikeless this morning. She's the only person left making these kind of movies in Hollywood. That's
Right.
her blank check. I mean, not all, also her movies are very expensive.
That's the other thing. Her movies are very expensive and very long.
Very
and have
long.
Weird narrative tangents.
And like Hollywood usually squashes movies like this now because they're like, that's television, or this is
Right.
too much money for whatever. These movies don't make money overseas, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? There's all this sort of like,
they're also real movie star movies. Like they're movies
Yeah.
that are
Yes.
sold
Yes,
by
they are.
stars, which
Yeah.
doesn't really happen.
although
No one
this
cares
is
about
not.
stars anymore.
This is not that movie.
No, it made a star. It became a star movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is sold on the talent of the main actress.
Yes.
Yes.
But she's not a star.
No, she's
But
first role.
when you first see her
Well, she did it too.
interacting with other kids, you're just
Mm-hmm.
like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Because you never see, like, I always admire films where you see kids, kid actors
Mm-hmm.
being amazing and interacting in real, like, kid terms and being really touching and, like, real. Because that's so impressive to me. That's always so impressive. And I think that movie is really about, like, the talent of acting of
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan.
That's
that's
the
true.
headline of this movie is it's a fucking stunning performance.
Yeah, it's insane.
Which also makes this movie kind of depressing to watch now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Just because it's like
Life happens.
the fucking churn of like this horrible industry, you know? You like look at this person who clearly was just like so fucking capable. And the other thing that's really stunning about her in this is that she does seem like a real kid.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't have that like overly plastically like child star thing that especially happens in Disney movies. She's playing two different, very distinct characters, then also playing each other. And in all 4 iterations, she seems like a real child.
And they ask her to do a British accent. I mean,
Right.
who would ask that of a kid?
Yeah.
That is just crazy to me.
Right.
And she does it pretty well.
I mean, both of you live in London. I
Yeah.
feel like I have less of an ear for this, and David has no context to understand this.
Not at all.
Oh, fuck yourself.
But I do think the accent holds up pretty
It
well,
does. I think
right?
it does.
Yeah.
She does it like extreme posh, but,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
it's kind of
Very
part of the
But that
story.
is the
That's the
that is
story.
the original movie. Of course, Haley Mills is English, so Haley Mills was having to do an American accent for
Right.
the Parent Trap, but that's easy.
It's easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Especially for like Lindsay Lohan's like a Long Island girl.
She is. She was
Yeah.
born in the Bronx, raised on Long Island by
Yeah.
her delinquent fucking parents, who, you know, have had trouble with. Her dad was a like day trader who like got arrested, or you know, right? Like,
I'll
she has
make
a very
this
dramatic
succinct.
family.
They had trouble being humans.
So you know, then she was a kid model from the age of 3.
Wow.
She was in 60 commercials.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut, Wendy's, that kind of stuff. And then she was in Another World, which is a soap opera.
And then this was her film debut.
Correct.
And
How
Disney
old was she in that?
really doubled down.
How old was she in this movie?
Yeah.
She's 11,
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
and she's playing twins.
Yeah.
And then she didn't make another theatrical film until Mean Girls. I mean, Freaky Friday.
Excuse me. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah. No, there was some time off in between. She did a
She
Disney
makes-
Channel movie.
Yeah, she makes Life Size and Get a Clue.
Right. Right.
Life Size, I believe, is where Tyra Banks is her doll who comes to life.
Correct. Currently in production on a
Wow.
sequel
Are you serious?
that Tyra Banks is in, but Lindsay Lohan isn't.
What?
Seems.
That movie has a weird
would
cult
you-
following.
You're
Why would
right.
they do
Life
that?
Size 2.
Weird following.
Seems like something you wouldn't really make now.
Correct.
Sure.
For
True.
some obvious
That's
reason.
literally
Very correct.
objectify a person.
Yeah.
But that
And,
was she was one of these kids who clearly got into like a 7-year Disney deal. Like she makes this movie,
and then
they
she's
give her
in
2
Get
TV
a
movies.
Clue,
Right.
which
That was a
is
Disney
another
Channel
Disney Channel movie. Yes,
Right.
which
Life Size,
is
I think, was on ABC.
about like a rich Manhattan kid who I don't know. There's
I
like a
think she's
mystery she
detective.
solves.
She's like, it's a
Exactly.
shitty Harriet
And then in
Spot.
03, so 5 years after Parent Trap, she
Yeah.
does Freaky Friday, which is she is both phenomenal in and the better actor to like Jamie Lee Curtis doing amazing stuff. But I think Lindsay Lohan is like underrated in that movie
Yeah, I mean, she came out of the gate.
because she has the tough role. She has to be the tight ass
Yes.
because it's Jamie Lee Curtis is playing a kid and she's so
Right.
funny and silly. And like Lindsay Lohan has to play a
The
a stick in the
mature
mud.
person.
There was, I find in retrospect, this annoying thing of, I feel like at the time people were like, yeah, well, she's like an engaging personality, but let's see if she can evolve into like a serious actress. And you look at like that run of like Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, Mean Girls, those are all like pretty complicated performances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very demanding.
She's so good in Mean Girls.
She's so
Yeah,
fucking
she's
good in Mean
amazing.
Girl in a role that like could be nothing in the hands of a
Well,
less
not only
intelligent,
that, but that movie is
less
all these
canny
fun
actor.
supporting performances
Right,
that
yeah.
are so dominant,
That's
like
the
Rachel
point.
McAdams and like Tim Meadows kicking ass.
People who are allowed to go really big, which it makes it
Yeah.
hard to not disappear into the
Yeah,
tapestry of
yeah.
the film unless you're really smart
Yeah,
about how
she's
you
not.
play it.
She's not actually like this empty vessel at all.
Yes.
Like when you watch the movie, you could just watch her and it would be still interesting.
She's a magnetic screen performer.
But that's the thing. It's
performer.
like the problem with all Nancy Meyers movies. Is no one takes them seriously because they're fun, romantic comedies or child or kid
Right.
movies, and no one gives a shit. And now that they don't get made anymore, now we're like, oh well, those were really complex and interesting and great
Sure.
performances.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, it's a bit late now.
Well, yeah.
I'm not
you
saying
know.
that would have changed something in Hollywood, but I'm just saying,
She's still making her
good to
movies.
appreciate
One
them.
hopes. One hopes she will make another movie.
Well,
Yeah.
this movie is sort of a bridge into her style because, I mean, the roots of her career are her collaboration with her ex-husband, Charles Shire. She would
That's
co-write all the
context,
films.
The further context, right?
Right.
Charles Shire. She would co-write with him, but he would direct.
Yes. And she talked about how she was trying to write on her own for a while and couldn't sort of break through. She was always being discounted, discredited. I think she was able to Trojan horse as being part of a duo and the fact that he would direct his films, so she was like tied on to them as like part of the incubation process.
She was born in Philadelphia.
Boom.
This is the first episode. We got to do
Yes.
Nancy.
Context.
Her father was an executive at a voting machines manufacturer. Her mother was an interior designer.
Wow.
Who was also a volunteer in the Head Start program, which,
Okay,
preschool.
cool. Yeah.
Raised in a Jewish household in Drexel Hill, which is like, the Pennsylvania main line. Gets into theater. Gets into screenwriting when she sees The Graduate.
Right.
She went to Lower Merion High School, which is, a big fancy school. Kobe Bryant went there, famous school. My friend Anna went there. Shout out, Anna. And then she worked in TV and moves to LA. She just like, oh man, she started a small cheesecake business.
What?
Did you know this?
I did not know this.
Oh my God.
What was it called?
What was it called?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's find out.
I'm trying to find the direct quote right now. But
Doesn't say the name.
I read the story about how no one would take her seriously as a screenwriter, and the big change for her was Private Benjamin, which no one wanted to make. They kept on getting it rejected at every fucking studio. And then they got Goldie Hawn attached. The movie was a massive success, and then it got
It's a great movie. And it got
surprising
an
Oscar nominations, and she got an Oscar nomination
She
for Best
did.
Screenplay,
Mm.
and that sort of set them off on a big career.
So she co-wrote that with Charles Shire,
Mm-hmm.
who was a friend
Mhm.
first, and then a husband.
Yes.
And who Harvey Miller is the other writer on that movie, right? Yeah, every studio passed on it. Blah blah blah, huge hit. And then they do Irreconcilable Differences together,
Which is a movie about Polly Platt and Peter Bogdanovich's divorce.
sure, starring Ryan O'Neal and Shelley Long and Drew Barrymore.
Yep.
Right, like a teen. It's like a teen Drew Barrymore, like My Parents Suck movie, right?
Yeah, the poster is like the two of them, and then she's like scribbled graffiti like devil horns on them or something.
Yeah,
Weird movie.
not a hit.
No. But it exists in the canon of movies made by other directors about Peter Bogdanovich's relationships,
Okay,
along with Star 80.
sure.
Yeah, that guy's got a messy personal life.
Then they work on a movie called Protocol, starring Goldie Hawn.
I don't
Hawn.
know what that was. Yeah.
Who is a cocktail waitress who prevents the assassination of a visiting Arab emir.
You are mistaken. That movie doesn't exist.
It doesn't sound like it exists. Baby Boom.
Right, that was
which
pretty
is
big.
another Charles Shire movie
not a very
with
good movie.
Diane Keaton.
Yeah. She's establishing her people.
Yeah. And then they remake Father of the Bride, starring Steve Martin
Which was
and Diane Keaton.
very big.
Very big. Again, Shire is directing it.
Yeah.
So then they do a sequel
Right.
based on Father's Little Dividend. Thankfully, they don't call it that because that's the grossest title in the world.
Yep.
They're working on a third. They have a third script that they wrote, but I think
Yes.
they break up
Oh.
before.
But they're both credited on this, which makes me think
Oh yeah, so he produced this movie. They broke up on the set of this movie,
insane.
which
Yeah.
she refers to in that big New York Times profile of her from the It's Complicated Days. It's like the most traumatic thing that ever happened to her.
Oh.
Like clearly, and then she only makes these movies about like
Yeah.
kind of fuck up guys who
Yeah.
you have to deal with who are still in your life.
Yeah.
There's always that character in all of her movies.
But it's always
yeah.
reconciled eventually. It's always like very hopeful, very
yeah,
optimistic.
there is
Quite forgiving.
optimism. She
Yeah.
likes optimism. She
Yeah.
likes happy endings.
And it's always surprising, but it always works.
She likes maturity too. I feel like she likes scenes where it's like, you sit down, you have a fucking conversation.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
People get over themselves.
But not so much in The Parent Trap, where these two
yeah.
emotional
Right.
idiots, right?
No, I mean, Parent Trap is clearly her being like, okay, how do I get to direct a movie?
Sure. Right.
The Father of the Bride films were Touchstone, so they're right adjacent to Disney. Disney at this period of time was remaking a lot of the live-action Disney films from
Right.
the 60s and 70s. They were all sort of being churned up. It's a clear bridge to like, oh, you guys did Father of the Bride, Father, Parent,
Yeah. Same
Trap,
thing.
right, whatever. I think this was just sort of a way to get her foot in the door, but it's interesting how many of the sort of hallmarks, not in
Yeah.
the thematic, obviously what the source material is, but what she does with it, how it
Yeah,
differentiates
definitely.
itself. I mean, in that both households become exorbitantly wealthy.
Yeah. Oh my god.
She and Shire are still friends. I'm reading this
Yeah,
profile.
I think now. What were you about to say, Mani?
I was just saying, yeah, like even in the story, I think in The Parent Trap, you can see a lot of her because there's the whole, those people are stupid and they don't talk, but when they do, it's good and it's important. And when they like make up at the end. It's very much like something's got to give to me. Like it's kind of like it's like fuck yeah, let's go back together. And you're like, okay, cool, yeah,
Yeah,
it feels very much. Because it's all about their feelings. It doesn't have to make sense.
You remember why we broke up? It's like, let's not remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You never see that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that already happened. Like,
it's nice to
that
see you.
unpleasantness, right?
Like, yeah.
There's another thing that I love about this movie, which is I always just get frustrated with comedies, especially romantic comedies, but any type of big studio comedy that is predicated on a lie. Where it's all about the tension of, can they keep this up? When are they going to get caught?
Then you have to suffer through that second act reveal where it's like, I'm sorry that I lied, and everyone's mad at each other for a while. Right.
Yeah.
And this movie weirdly kind of works around that by having both lies be volunteered. Like, you know?
Yeah.
The reveals. Like,
Well, the other thing is, like, the parents can't be mad because they are defenseless.
yes.
Yeah.
They can't be like, well, we kept you apart for a very good reason.
Yeah.
What?
No.
What, they meet, the universe is going to collapse?
Right.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's no defense.
Yeah.
But the
None
other
is offered.
The other part of it is that this movie, other than a couple key sequences, isn't that big into like the twin trickery,
No.
which I feel like the trailers really showcased that.
Yeah, they only do it the one time, really.
Right. And it felt like it was like one of those, like, I remember when the trailer came out, I didn't bother to see this movie when it came out, and I would go see every fucking movie like
Wow, you
this.
sound like a piece of shit.
Yeah, and I saw it on video, and my mom and I were like, this is like really well directed.
I saw this film
Yeah.
in theaters in the United States of America.
Well,
That's
I don't
right.
understand why you put a point on it. Where else would you have seen it?
I was
strange.
here on vacation.
Okay, Ben, cut that out.
I saw it at the AMC Lincoln Square.
Hey, the Gentleman's Theater.
Mhm.
But
Is it?
but I feel like the trailers really played up the camping trip shit,
Sure.
the sort of like them walking in and out of
Sure.
different
But it's
doors,
actually more a
switcheroo
movie
shit.
about having a twin.
Yeah,
And
Yes.
having someone in the world that you didn't know before. It's not really about like, what could we do? We're twins. It's more like, I have a twin. This is great. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
It's about family.
yeah. It's really not about like.
It's more about the parents.
It's not about like how weird it is to have a twin. It's about like, I have a sister. Can I please be with my sister?
Yeah.
Right.
Which is when you're not what you expect.
my favorite thing about this movie too is how much it's about these two girls getting to see like the alternate version of their lives.
Mm.
I think it puts a lot of attention into them getting to enjoy
Yeah.
these sort of how the other half lives, what the
Yeah.
other parents like.
But the one thing that makes it maybe a bit less interesting is that they're both like wealthy as shit. So it's like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh yeah,
Well,
this is
that's where Nancy's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
know.
It would
but
be
it's-
really traumatic if one of them
I know,
had
but
to have grown up in
there
like
is-
a-
Right, if
there
it was
is
a Prince
a-
Pauper thing.
yeah, they
right,
would like
right,
hate
right,
each
right.
other.
there is a movie, a French movie. I think it's, je crois que c'est La vie est un long fleuve tranquille. I think.
Mhm.
Like Life is a Long Quiet River.
Mhm.
I think that's what it's called.
Good title.
Where it's a great film. Where basically some people realize that at birth 2 kids were swapped,
Uh-huh.
and then they realize, and the kids are like still young, but one is like in a really rich family, and the other one is a very poor family. So the film is really like a lot of dread and a lot of just hatred.
Yeah.
And that's super interesting because they're not twins, but it's just about the difference of like, wow, where you're born is important.
Yeah, that's why the
Whereas-
title is actually like sort of ironic. It's like
Yeah.
our life is only a quiet river if you're really rich.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
It's great.
It's a really a movie about class,
Yeah.
but it's so excellent. But that's what I find in the Parent Trap. It's all very, oh, how lucky. It
Well,
makes
'cause-
sense.
Well,
She makes
Nancy
this-
Myers, right.
Yeah, she wouldn't make something about money.
It's also like Nancy Myers.
Like, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think Nancy Myers approaches wealth in the way that like a superhero movie director approaches like set pieces.
Yeah,
Where it's like you need shit to show in the trailer. Like you need production
Yeah.
Those
value,
are
you
the
need
bones.
a huge
Yeah,
house,
yeah.
you need incredible looking clothes. Like
Well, this lets her do 2 visions of wealth too.
Yes.
You got,
The
hoity-toity English life, right? But then you got like ranch, sort of
Mm-hmm.
slightly like Land's End catalog style Napa Valley.
that's where the Nancy really shows because it's like you meet these 2 girls. I mean, I love the fact that the first 30 minutes of the movie, you just start at the camp, you meet
Yeah.
them there, you don't have a sense other than what they
Right.
say about their home
That's
lives.
true. It's actually very clever, right? You don't see the parents at all, right?
Right.
You start with the kids, you build out.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of shittier filmmakers would have just gotten that setup out of the way after 10 minutes and then done
I mean,
80
you see the
minutes of
parents right at the
trickery
start.
and then backed out. Right. In the opening credit
Yeah,
sequence. Right.
Mhm.
But they set up this sort of high class, low class thing.
Yeah, but then that's out the window.
Right.
Yeah.
Because,
Right.
there's the tough talking, more colloquial. I mean, the American one sounds like Bart Simpson.
Sure. She definitely almost says don't have a cat.
Right, that she asked her daughter, like, what are things that people say? And it's like, I don't know, tubular? And then the other one's like super kind of like sophisticated and squirmish and all that sort of stuff.
Right, but
And
she
then
also
you're
has like a rapping butler as her
Right.
best friend.
No, but I was going to say,
like-
you just think like, okay, so the American girls maybe got like a little more rough and tumble of a home life. And it's like, okay, she's got this rough and tumble dad who accidentally fell into a multi-million-dollar wine company. Like they found a way to make him like a salt to the earth, like all-American guy who's also insanely wealthy.
Yeah.
It's like he rides horses, but they are his horses. both
Right,
them.
right.
He owns several of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a whole hill where he just has his grapes growing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. Yeah.
Right.
He's doing okay. Yeah.
Right. And he just seems like very like at peace with everything. Like both of them have these incredibly big, successful careers where they're insanely well regarded and they both just feel like I got this on autopilot.
Yeah.
Like I know what I'm doing now. My career isn't a struggle at all. I just keep on doing the work that everybody loves. It's
Should
also
we-
a crazy thing. What were you gonna say?
I was
Sorry.
just saying, should we start from the beginning a bit?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're
Yeah.
at the beginning.
No, I'm just mean like literally the sequences because I really love this opening sequence.
Okay. Hit me.
So it's the scene that sets up what happened in 1986.
Right.
So we see just two figures. We don't see their faces.
Right.
And it's a man and a woman. And they're on a boat on the Queen Elizabeth
Of
II.
course. QE2.
And there's like, it's so already, it's all slow-mo and very wealthy and everything looks great. It's about a cruise and people are having dinner and
Soft focus.
a lot of soft focus. And someone is passing
Slow-mo.
a ring on the finger of a woman and then we see them dancing.
Right.
We don't see their faces. We don't see what it is. Then someone comes to take a picture and we see the picture and
It's the picture.
it's the picture.
Right.
So it's Dennis Quaid
Yes.
and what's her name?
Natasha
Natasha
Richardson.
Richardson.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yep.
And so I love that sequence because
Legendary
it's so simple and it establishes everything and it establishes like the themes as well. Like you see already the wealth a bit, but that's not even theme. Like it's just a context. And you see just like it's so romantic.
It's high
so
romance.
romantic.
It establishes, I think, the aspirational thing of Nancy
what they're
Myers,
trying to
which
get
is
back
like,
to.
which is
Yeah.
like you watch this film, it's not real, but it just makes you dream about like, what if this life was possible? Like,
It's
what if-
ideal.
yeah, these two very exaggerated romantic versions of a reality where money's not a problem. Like that's kind of part of the. It's like she's not making films about like real world
At all.
But I think that's what's like.
Yeah, it's the appeal.
But that's also the really smart narrative function it has is like she sells you on like the high movie romance of this moment.
Right.
Feeling
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everyone wishes they had one night like
Sure.
this. And then that becomes the representation for these two girls of like, we got to recreate this thing. Like you really
Right.
get an
Yeah, yeah,
investment in that photo of the power it represents of like, oh man, that was that cool opening credit sequence. I'd like more of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Why can't we get back
but
to
I
that
also-
shit?
I think there's
Yeah.
this idea that you got that, right?
Right.
You got the storybook romance. And then you got their happy lives as fashion designers and wine
Right, they're both doing
merchants.
pretty well in their own.
And like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe the parents of both decide like, look, you can have one or the other. You couldn't have both. Like you know, I've got all this, but you know, we couldn't make it work, but it's good because we all figured it out. And Nancy Myers is like, you can have both. Like that,
Yeah.
that's her big thesis. She's like, no,
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah,
That's
you can
fine.
do it. Yeah, you can dream.
That's
You
how-
need to grow up, maybe, like
Yes.
to do before you get to do it, but then
Yeah.
you can do it.
The picture thing and like the setting up the idea of this romance at the beginning also I think is what allows the movie to not be awkward when you realize that they're both doing really, really well. They're very, very happy on their own.
Yeah.
And you're like, yes, we are, but remember that picture. Like they could do that as well. Like why not?
Yeah.
And if you didn't have that, you'd be like, well, they're very happy. Like they could just, you know, send the girls one country for 6
vacations.
months, like
Yeah.
whatever, they would be fine.
It
But
sets
actually,
a good
yeah.
high watermark. The other thing that's kind of crazy about this film is it's like Quaid and Richardson are the two established adult actors. They're the top two billed people in the movie.
Yes.
This opening credit sequence, you're getting just slivers of them. You're only really seeing them face on in this still photo. And then they don't appear for another half hour. Dennis Quaid doesn't
Longer,
appear
maybe,
in motion
yeah.
until 45 minutes
Yeah,
in,
I was that.
which is kind of a really bold move for this sort of movie to be like, just invest in these two girls, in their relationship to
He's
each
coming
other.
off a Dragonheart.
He's
People are-
huge. He's blooming. Are you kidding me?
He's coming off I don't know what the fuck. Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in a slump.
Yeah.
He is in a bit of a slump.
That was-
He's so fucking hot in this movie.
He's so
handsome.
He's
I-
such a handsome guy.
His that
Disgusting.
whole Land's End catalog kind of
Yeah.
look, with the
I
sort of
know.
like shirt sleeves rolled up and like
And also
he's
he
grown
does
into his
nothing.
looks.
I like how he does nothing. Like he's just being like
He's
pushed
got-
around by
yeah,
these
his
women.
character's kind of
Yeah,
an idiot.
he's kind of like just having a
Also,
good
it's like,
time. It's great.
just think of like Nancy Meyers making this movie and just having him be like hot and do nothing. It's
Yeah.
just
Right.
kind of nice. Like if you're a woman or like you just fancy him and he's just there.
You can
That's
just
great. It's
project.
just like this object like that you
Right.
can look at. It's pretty
Basically, no one asks anything of him until the end of the movie when she's like, "It's me or the kids," and he's like, "Oh, the kids."
Right. The first time
She's
he's
like, "What?"
ever made a decision
Right.
in his life. But he does successfully sell. I mean, this thing the movie comes down to where it's like, why didn't you chase me? And he's like, I didn't know I was supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
And you buy that he had never considered the fact without the character coming off as so dumb that you hate him.
You buy that.
Yeah.
You don't buy that they would keep the kids apart. But we'll
Agree
talk
100%.
about
We'll
that.
But
get
that's,
to that.
I mean, that's the sort of problem with this movie is like,
It's the problem with the premise.
right, you have to
Who
buy
is
into
the
the
lawyer
central
who let them
conceit,
do
which makes
this?
no fucking
Right, yeah.
sense.
What judge was like, "Oh yeah, sure, the kids should live in separate countries and not know each other." That's a good call.
Make a movie about that guy.
Right.
My
yeah.
friends Marina and Nico, who are incredible writers, had a sketch they used to do that was the divorce meeting with the lawyer for the couple in the Parent Trap. And they're going over the division of the property. And then once they bring up this concept, the lawyer's like, are you fucking kidding me? That is the most traumatic thing. And it's like, so what, you guys hate each other? It's like, no, I mean, we're pretty like...
Yeah, we're
just wanna
friendly.
share.
Just
Oh,
can't
no,
really make it
That's
work.
the bit is they keep on saying we can't stand each other. And it's like, I don't know, you seem very
Yeah,
close.
Yeah, we don't really know what happened on that boat, really.
No, but yeah, I mean, the other moment I love is when the shitty fiance tells Dennis Quaid unbuttons extra buttons on his shirt, and I think
Yeah.
it's supposed to be this moment of like, "Ugh, look how much she doesn't understand him. That she's like making him do this
Yeah.
embarrassing thing. You're like, I don't know, that's pretty fucking
Yeah.
hot.
Good call.
Dennis
Got
Quaid
a
looks
little
really
chest hair out
good.
there.
Let's
Yeah.
get a couple
All right.
more buns on.
But first, summer camp. There's some antics first. We got to
Oh,
do
yeah.
some antics.
This is
Get the
very
kids happy.
90s live action Disney.
It
Yes.
really also just feels like Nancy Meyers being like, "Yeah, the kids will do stuff. What do kids have like furniture? Like they put them on roofs? What do kids do? Like,
Yeah,
it's-
well, they're
right.
11 years old. Yeah, they can put a bed on the roof.
yeah, they
Yeah,
no
that's
problem.
fine.
kids fence, right? When
Yeah.
can we get to all the hotels and
Fence.
cool shit?
Right.
Like I want to Nancy this shit.
But it feels like this is the stuff she had to do in order to like, because this section has a totally different tone. It feels like a very generic, like functional sort of like 90s kids comedy. The score is also totally different in this section. It's got this weird synthy like,
Yeah, the Alan Silvestri score. It's all over the place.
it sounds for the first 30 minutes like they tempt the Driving Miss Daisy music because it's the same kind of
Hans
like
That's just the Driving Miss Daisy music.
right, but it's almost identical.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And then once they go to the rest of the movie, it becomes this lusher sort of like orchestral thing.
Yeah.
But this is just like the kids doing prank wars on each other.
Sure.
You know?
It's a movie about, much like the other great movie about twins, The Prestige.
Uh-huh.
This is a movie about a prank
It's a
war.
movie about a prank.
Yes.
Um,
But I
It'd
love
be so fun if she just shot off the finger.
Yeah, right. I'm going to murder your greatest love.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I didn't know how far they would go. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
it's
god,
true.
like
The
this
ear
insane
piercing.
trap in the cabin. I was just, how can you
These
do
are
this?
complicated
This
things.
is so
This
dangerous.
camp's way of dealing with it is like, go to that cabin. We'll,
Yeah.
for days.
Isolation
Yeah.
cabin.
right.
They're not like for like 3 hours. They're like, we're just going to leave you there.
Yeah.
And they do
days.
that joke where they reference the Great Escape with the score. Like they sort of make it this weird, like friendly prison for the two of them.
It's horrible.
But
I quite like. I don't like the antics and stuff as much, but I like them in this movie, especially because they allow a great play on the fact that they're twins, but they don't know. Like
Yes.
when they do the fencing and they
Right.
put the mask on.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I find that so cool. Like it's really nice.
I will say though, it is a little weird that they're like, we're identical, and then they don't talk about it again for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
then
and
they're
then-
like,
and
well,
then,
I don't like
Don't you understand? We're twins. I'm like, yeah, you should have got that from
Yeah,
the
right.
beginning.
You are
how
like smart
how can
enough
you
to-
think about eating in a moment like this?
Right.
What do you mean? I don't know. Yeah.
because like something like Three Identical Strangers, they talk about when they see each other.
Right,
they're
it's like this
immediately
lightning bolt.
Yeah.
So let's get
Right.
the confirmation, but we're clearly
Right,
twins.
right.
And in the film, there's this moment where they shake hands and they're like, because there's like this connection
Right.
in Parent Trap. But then for that moment was like when they realized that
Yeah.
they're related, but that's not what happens.
But even like
They're just scared, I guess.
the other, like their campmates, the counselors are just like, that's crazy, you look the same.
Yeah.
But they don't go like, you probably are
Yeah, that's the
related.
other thing. The counselor should be like, let's check the records on these kids. Like, what is up? Instead, it's Janice from Friends and the
Yeah.
other person.
Right.
And they're just like, these kids, they put furniture
Yeah,
on
they-
roofs. Put them in the
probably-
fucking box.
They probably have
Lock
their
the
date
door.
of birth somewhere written.
Yeah,
like, you could
they
check,
definitely
you
have
know?
that.
Like
In their medical
you're both
records.
allergic to strawberries.
Right,
Like,
right.
This is weird.
That's a thing that camps definitely have so that
Yeah.
they don't kill kids.
Yeah,
You
for
have
sure.
to know allergies and shit like that.
Yeah.
And you have to lock up kids who put stuff on the roofs, and
Yes.
like you wouldn't.
Yeah, you
I
call
mean,
the
that's-
parents or something.
Like I don't know how many kids almost had their neck broken in that scene. Like that's
Right, there's
crazy.
the thing where it's all slippery and
Yeah,
the
they slip
shit
like
gets
crap
all slipped
the whole
around
room.
and all the.
This is just one like insurance nightmare after another. All this shit they're doing.
Yeah.
They were on the roof. Like
Yeah.
if like at my summer camp, if a
She
kid had
paid someone
climbed
to
up
do
on
that.
the roof,
They were carrying a bed on the roof.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
they
Who
weren't
did
even
that?
just
you would get
walking
kicked out
down.
immediately.
Of course.
Right. What happens if you fall off the roof? You break your neck, and then we're sued. You're
Right.
you're
This
sent
is an
home.
insurance nightmare.
Immediately.
Out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
Go
think,
back to it looks like you're from Napa. Okay. Right.
But what I think is cool though with all those antic stuff is it shows how mature they are, both of them. Like when the first one, I don't know which one is called what, by the way.
Okay, so
gets confusing
it's
because of the
fuck.
double,
The
reverse.
The Napa
yeah.
girl, what's her name?
the Napa girl is
Annie?
Hallie,
Is Hallie.
and
Hallie.
Annie is the London girl.
Okay,
yes.
so when Hallie arrives and she's got her bag under a pile of bags, and then a woman
right,
helps,
right, right.
another girl helps her, and then she's like, "Huh, that's my kind of woman." I was like, "Okay, I see. Like this is how this girl talks," and they're all very mature and.
Yes.
They all
I don't think Nancy Myers can write kids.
no,
No,
I guess not, but it makes
Yeah.
them so much more interesting. I
It's
guess.
somewhat.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's charming.
It's super charming.
It
It's
is
cool.
charming.
Yes.
And it's also one of the reasons why the Lohan performance is so impressive because this should not be actable.
Yeah,
Like
no.
these are not realistically written children, and in most hands they would be
Right.
insufferable.
And also, right, half Lohan has to do this painful, like English prim accent,
Right.
like which
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
annoying.
yeah.
She's got the fucking butler with like that should suck, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. Like it's
Yeah.
actually
It's a
fine. They have a
cute.
handshake.
Right.
They got to
the
do.
little music that plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I like
Every
that
time.
sting a lot.
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
stupid.
fun.
I
Yeah.
don't know who was like, yeah, let's put a bit of that song in this. Like, sure, why
Yeah.
not?
But
Apparently, there's a scene where they meet the queen. Did you know that?
Yeah,
That they
I
cut
I
out.
read that.
cut out. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so.
Well, it is a 2 and 10 minute. 2
I know.
hours, 10
No, it's
minutes.
not crazy they cut out. It's crazy they shot that.
Yeah.
I do think the moment with the fencing, I just like, I hadn't seen this movie in a couple years, and I was just like, fuck, how do they set this up so they're fencing and they don't see each other's faces? Like, how sweaty is this going to be? And there's just some really elegant blocking to set up why they don't catch each other out of peripheral vision.
They just have their back to each other, and
Right.
then they put the mask and they have it.
But other
That's
than that, I think the only way this section really feels Nancy Myers-y is that it's right here from the get-go, the classic Nancy Myers.
Nancy Myers.
Nancy Myers never makes a movie with less than 5 acts.
Yes, this movie's
Like
got
Yeah,
she
true.
doesn't make
She
a
doesn't.
3-act movie.
No.
Yeah.
And this is like Act 1 is the camp.
Act 1 is camp.
Act 2 is their separate
The
lives,
switch.
seeing how the other half lived.
Yep.
Then it's like the reconciliation.
Right?
Then it's the camping
Camping
trip.
trip.
I know.
Correct.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
and then epilogue.
Yeah.
And then epilogue.
And also the camp is sort of 1.5 acts because first it's prank war, and then you got the sort of extended isolation
Yeah.
sequence.
Yeah, true.
Right.
That's
there's
more
a-
like 6 acts.
Right. There's
Yeah, it's
There's
like
the
14 acts in
adversary.
this fucking movie.
there's the adversarial half of the camp thing, and then there's like the teamwork. Let's train each other to become each other.
Yeah.
Right,
work
right,
stuff.
right.
Can we
Um,
talk about the scene where they pierce the earrings? The
That's a
ears?
great
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did you know? I read that it's been cut in the UK
really.
and
Too
from
graphic?
the Disney broadcast because they didn't want copycats.
Right, that
Really?
I believe.
That's
Oh, yeah.
exactly what I was thinking. I was like, if I had seen this movie when I
Yeah.
was 11, I
You
probably would have tried it. I was like, this makes sense.
But also, that's how you.
Lindsay Lohan got
can
her
do
ears
it.
pierced for this movie.
Like you can
You
do
can't
it like
say
that.
that.
Like it's
You can't
fine.
say that
Like,
on the podcast.
I'm sure.
You don't want all the kids who listen to Blank Chat committing
Hey.
copycat crimes.
Hey, 11-year-olds.
So you can take a needle and
get it real hot.
yeah.
And then use
Yeah.
a lemon on the other side? Is that? Yeah.
I think it's an apple.
I know. No, it's
Is
a,
it?
it's a lemon, isn't it? I
It
can't
can't
remember.
be. That must
That,
hurt
that would,
so much.
that would kill her. Like
she would like
pass
collapse.
out.
Yeah.
Hey, ma'am.
They use fruits.
But I know at least one girl who pierced her ears at camp. Like
Really?
that is a rite of passage I have
insane.
heard of.
Wow.
You know, that
Because even the
concept.
parents aren't freaked out. They're like, and you got your ears pierced.
I know they don't
Yeah.
say like, did you go to Claire's or something?
But
Like,
yeah,
was there a
I
field
did
trip
say-
to a mall?
But
Like,
if it's
when
a
did
camp
this
where
happen?
you can do fencing, like you can probably
Yeah,
get
it's a
your ears
fancy camp.
pierced. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Like, you can probably do anything in
Right.
that camp.
That's
The best
good.
camp in America
Botox,
or whatever.
like, yeah. Oh, you got a breast implant. Yeah, it's cool.
Oh,
Why
you
not?
cut your hair and you
Yeah.
got new clothes and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
You got a full back tattoo? You got a Ben Affleck Rising Phoenix back tattoo?
Yeah.
11 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were going through some shit.
Yeah.
So that they hatch the plan. Because there's the moment where they start to respect each other's
Sure.
game.
You know why? Because she helps her close a window. She has to close the window because it's
Right, in
windy,
the
and then
rain,
they
right,
smile
right.
at each other.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And then they have the pictures. They unite the pictures.
that's
Just
a
like
nice
Justice League united
Yeah.
the Seven, they unite the
They
pictures.
unite the two.
Yeah, what I really like in that isolation scene is when they talk about their parents.
Right.
And it's so cute because they're like, I love my dad so much. I can talk to him about everything. And then she's like, do you know your dad? He's like, no. But I love my mom. She's
Right.
so cool. Like, she
She is
makes
cool.
dresses and I love her. Do you know your mom? No. That mom is like so heartbreaking.
It's
It's
so
almost
sad.
too much for a movie. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, like she misses her mom.
Well,
Yeah.
you-
And then
also-
when you think about the premise, you're like, why did we
Yeah.
do this to
Yeah.
to the
and
kids?
you keep waiting for the movie for them to be like, this, we should never have done this.
Yeah.
They never
Yeah,
do.
and they never regret it.
They never
They're just like,
apologize to
Right.
these
yeah,
kids.
just like, oh, well, they're united now. That's nice.
Yeah.
There's a
Right,
sense
right.
of like getting back together for a better future without any regret about the
No,
past, which is
yeah.
crazy.
11
if I-
years
if
and
I
9
learned
months. My parents had done that. I would like scream and like hate them
you
or
just
something.
imagine-
I would just freak out.
Being a parent and not seeing your child for over a decade.
Yeah.
And not having it be a situation where like the government stole your child, where you openly, like willingly volunteered to never see your child again.
Just
It's very
because
King
the other
Solomon,
one looks the
right.
same. It's not
Yes.
like the same child. Like,
And
that's
they
the whole
could- they
point.
could
Well, right,
have,
you guys
like-
are twins. Can you confirm you guys are just the same? So it's like one is
We
the
are the
same
same
as two.
person. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like-
When I
right.
can't talk to someone, like she just does it. Like,
Yeah.
which is
right, exactly.
we're exactly the same.
We
Yeah.
should make it clear to our listeners that everything that either one of you has said has been said in unison by the other at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. And it's surround sound.
Right.
Right,
So
right.
I can't
This
hear
is
it
in stereo,
because-
right? This is in stereo, right, Ben?
Oh yeah, yeah. This is in stereo.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to watch.
Throwing the mic to you.
Cool. Hi.
Hi, Ben.
Hello.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
Yeah.
Welcome
Hello.
here.
Thank
Hi.
you.
I think we should get back to talking about the
Sure,
episode.
sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
That was just what I wanted.
That was Ben. I wanted to say another thing. Yeah, for a while I asked Elena if she thought we should maybe do it with one of us doing a very heavy British accent.
Sure.
and
No,
the
please
other
don't.
one, yeah, she said no straight away and she insulted me.
Because you,
But,
you did some of
but
the
I-
British accent, and I wanted to kill you.
I know because I don't think it's a great accent. I don't know.
It's a
I
horrible
no
one.
offense to anyone who speaks with a British accent.
I just want
But-
to make clear, there's no such thing as a British accent.
What do you mean?
There's English accent, Scottish accent. There's no
So
such-
anyway, I don't
That's
know.
what
I'm not
meant.
even.
That's what I meant. Like
I'm
English.
I'm
accent.
French. I don't know what I'm saying.
no,
so
I
it's
know. No,
fine.
most people
Yeah.
say that. And
Yeah.
I always
Right.
am a pedant about it.
So
Why?
Shut the
Because he's pedantic.
We have to talk about. Yeah, I am pedantic. Right. All right. So you
But-
wanted to do this bit, but then
yeah,
Elena shut
because
it down.
I would accept if you did the Scottish accent, like for example.
Sure. Can you do a Scottish
okay.
accent?
Can try. I don't know. I don't know what to do. But anyway, it's just because I have no idea if people will figure out who is speaking when they listen to this podcast.
I
guys
think
have
you'll be
different
fine.
voices.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have different
Elena's
haircuts,
got, like,
so
a-
everyone will be able to tell the difference when they're
Right,
listening.
right.
That's true. We have
Yeah.
different haircuts. That's true.
That's the big key distinction in terms of the audio.
Yeah. You can hear in my voice that I have longer hair than you.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So they do the
So-
switcheroo. Have you guys
Anyway.
ever done a switcheroo?
But everyone always asks us.
I
but-
know. I
but
mean,
we're
it's
very,
the hackiest
We're
question.
very good girls. We're
Yeah.
very boring, so we never did it.
Sure.
We did one time.
What was? I remember we did once. I
One
don't remember
time
why.
we had to go pick up our results from our baccalaureate. I
Yeah,
think.
that was like a very important thing, and we
Yeah.
decided to try it for the first time there, and I was terrified.
Like I assume it's very similar to GCSEs where you have to like go to school in the summer
Yeah.
and you like get handed an envelope and you have to
exactly.
like open it in front of
With your
everyone. It was
ID.
like
With
the
your
worst
ID.
experience of my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I
And
think
so,
I went
you
for
decide like, yeah, let's stress each other
Yeah.
out more.
You went
For
for
that
me because I
result.
was busy or something, or I was in the country and I was
Yeah.
terrified, and
Yeah.
it was pretty bad. But
and
then we
you
never
kept-
did it again.
You were very scared. I was like, that's fine. No one cared. It was good.
Wait, so wait, did you go in as yourself leave, and then go in as.
I wasn't in the country. I
No, it
think.
was me.
Oh,
She,
oh,
I
she
went for
got
the both
my
of us.
ID and she did it.
So
Sure.
did you
That was the one time.
go in, collect yours, leave, and then pretend to be Elena, go back in a second time?
Yeah, that's my question.
I think I maybe went on 2 different days.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right.
They were
Very
that was
different
more
clothes.
convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And we
second
had the
date-
same hair at the time.
Yeah,
Sure.
we looked more like.
This
Much
is
more.
my big question. Do you think, and I accept it doesn't harm the movie, we have to buy into the premise. Do you think there's any scenario in which either of these parents would not be able to tell that their child was different? I know they look the same, but like, do the two of you think like at the times where you had the same hairstyles, you would ever have been able to trick your parents?
No.
Right?
But
they just
You
know
don't think so?
instinctively.
No.
Yeah, they just
They,
know.
they sometimes mix us up on the phone.
Yeah,
Sure,
or when
sure.
we have our
Which is
back
fine.
turned or something.
Right,
yeah.
right, right.
And when
But,
when we were like very small babies, like we looked more alike, but like
Right.
all babies look alike. But then no, I think even at 11 they could recognize
Definitely.
us.
Definitely. I mean, if you look at pictures of us then, we definitely look different.
It's just this weird thing in the movie where like the mom and the dad buy it wholesale, and then like Chessie
know.
and the grandpa are the people who sniff it out.
I
Well,
know.
well, Chessie is, she says the name. That's when Chessie starts the best scene in the movie.
She's also world's greatest detective, Chessie.
Chessie.
Yeah.
And the grandpa figures it out, right? But the grandpa's like a wise old grandpa.
Yeah.
Right.
He hears her
puffing
on the
a pipe.
phone.
Right.
That's
right,
why.
right.
But you get the sense that it's because these two people spend more time with the kids than the parents, which
Sure.
is very sad.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
like, oh my
That's a
god,
good-
like the
that's
parents.
a good point.
The
You're
parents
right.
never spend
Well,
time with their
when did-
daughters,
alright,
so we don't know what they actually look like.
I want to talk about Chessie. So, and this is a perfect
Chessie.
segue. to
What
that.
a
So
name.
they do the situation.
Yeah, so
What a
good.
name.
Yeah.
They do this switch. So now fucking Hallie is going to England and
Yeah.
Annie's going to Napa. Right. So Annie's in Napa.
And you get sort of two isolated 15-minute sections.
Exactly.
They stick with one, then they go to the other.
And so you got, here's Dennis Quaid. I missed you so much. Like, you can never go to camp again. Yeah, he's being
God,
so
he's
cute.
handsome.
And then
Yeah.
Chessie, played by Lisa Ann Walter, who
Yeah.
is sort of like, I don't know, like the sort of B-list Julie Kavner of the
She
90s.
only
She's like a
is here-
stand-up, right? Like,
She
The
was a
character
stand-up,
only
yeah.
exists to make the food because Dennis Quaid, who has to raise his daughter by himself, doesn't know how to cook anything.
Right.
If they don't need a nanny, they don't need her
No,
dad.
not at
He
all.
can just like make a normal meal every day. It will be fine.
But
He has
she-
the time. He's never working. He's just there.
And she seems like a lifelong friend of Dennis
She
Quaid's,
says
'cause
that
she was
she's
there-
known her
right.
for 11
So
years.
this-
I think
So
she's also
Chessie's
sort of
here.
a business assistant.
So immediately, I mean, I'm watching it with my girlfriend. We're both just like, who is this
What's
person?
the-
What's the deal?
What's
Yeah.
the Chessie
Yes.
structure? Break
Yeah.
it down.
Is she
for us.
an aunt? Like,
Right.
is that what it is? No. Okay. Is she's an employee? Like,
Right.
but she lives with them? Like,
Yeah.
what is, and she sort of jokingly calls herself the butler.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, at no point does Nancy ever just say, like, let me just clarify who this person is.
Yeah.
Never clarifies.
You're like, is she the turtle? Is she the E?
Yeah.
Where does she fit into the Quaid entourage?
She's kind of the E.
She's kind of the E.
Yeah.
right?
we were watching this movie yesterday because Elena needed to see it, and we watched it with our friend Marie,
Yes. Marie
Barney.
Barney. Shout
Yes.
out Marie Barney.
Shout out to
very
Barney
good
podcast.
person,
Yep.
and she had
We're
seen that
wondering
movie.
the same thing. We're like, who is this?
Yeah, and she was like, it's so bizarre because she's kind of coded at first as maybe a lesbian character,
Yes.
and kind of like
Wears a lot of
Frances
pants.
McDormand in Something's Gotta Give. you know?
Very
Yes.
similar to
Yes.
Frances
But-
McDormand.
but
as
then-
or Rita Wilson. in,
But then she gets with the butler.
Yeah.
So it's all very weird.
which
it's all
Nancy
kind of,
loves to just tie those little loose
Yeah.
ends off. Yeah.
Maybe and also the butler is kind of coded as gay at first because he's kind of like he gives advice on the clothes and he's very like friendly.
And then he starts wearing this like
leather jacket,
Yeah,
and we
he
see
becomes
him
a
in his
laser daddy.
We
swimsuit,
see
and I
him
don't
in
want to see
Speedo,
that.
Yeah.
And then, but that's why it's like
Yeah.
they're actually a more interesting couple because they're both like
Maybe
the
they're, like,
conventional.
Yes.
Bisexual, it's cool. Like
Or maybe
they're
he's just
super
like a normal
open.
person who's
Yeah.
like not just a super macho Dennis
Yeah.
Quaid guy.
But
He's
but
not
I-
coded by Hollywood. He's
Yeah,
just
and so
beyond-
I'm like, I'd like to see them like do whatever, just see more of
Yeah.
them like together
Yeah.
as,
Well,
as a couple.
quite
Nancy
cool.
was the first person to ever be woke, and also,
the very first.
Ever.
yeah, I do think it's interesting that it's like not like a lavender marriage thing. It's that they like are so fucking attracted to each
Yeah,
other.
it's
Like
it's
the
kind
setup
of
is
like I
them
don't
being
wanna-
like, "Jeez, Louise,"
It's
like
like-
eyeballing
Yeah.
each
they're
other.
like in the corridor, like
Yeah.
stuck to each other. I was like, this is disgusting.
Right.
Yeah.
This is gross.
It's not gross. It's nice.
It's nature,
Yeah.
but like
Deal with it.
Yeah, that's right.
wasn't ready.
my
Wild, passionate nature.
my read on Chessie is she has some line that I'm not even going to try to misquote, where she is saying like, your father, he can't even keep track of the things right in front of his face or whatever.
Right.
That somehow she just sort of like was a friend of his who knew that he had some ability, but also is like a fucking oblivious idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
And has sort of just been like his general, like, not personal assistant, but like assisting him not fucking everything up. I feel like
life assistant.
Chessie has like a position within the company.
No, she's definitely an employee.
Right, but it
she
also,
also seems to live there.
right.
Yeah. She always
Right, on the
cooks for them.
ranch.
Yes.
Cooks.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
It's very odd. I was watching this with subtitles, and when they first said her name, I was like, this is embarrassing that whoever like captioned this movie wrote Chessie. That's not a name. I was like, clearly her name must be Jessie, and someone misheard it. And I was like, oh no, fuck, this character's name is Chessie, which is short for
Yeah.
Jessica.
But she is also the star of the film's best scene, which is when she
Yes.
realizes who
Yeah.
this girl actually is
Oh.
and starts crying.
It's
Right.
so good.
Which I think is so good, but also hints at this sort of like deep, like dark thing that
Right.
they did. This
Yeah.
like terrible thing they did.
The other people on the
that, like,
sides have
they
been
thought
living
would
with
never
this, like,
haunt them. Right?
The question
yeah.
of the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was mostly a stand-up comedian, and then made a lot of TV appearances, and then she
Lisa
had,
Walter. She had a show.
She
like work.
created her own sitcom.
Yeah, which
I mean, she-
didn't take, but
right. And then I looked at her Wikipedia, and like since then, for the last 20 years, she's mostly done like reality competitions where she's either a judge or a contestant as like a celebrity blank.
yeah.
Oh.
But I think she's really good in this
So
movie.
good.
She is good. She's
Yeah.
also just so Nancy Myers. She's
Yes.
so like in the vibe, like
Yeah.
right away. She fits it so well.
Yes.
She's one of the most convincing of the characters, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
In the ensemble, because the butler is a little much.
It's a lot of paprika.
It's a lot of paprika.
Right.
And the grandpa, like, get out of here, grandpa.
He's useless.
He's fucking
Yeah,
Smells like
useless.
pipe tobacco and peppermint.
And then the other thing, so we can do the Napa thing, where
Yeah.
is that Dennis Quaid's character Nick,
Yes.
he's got a girlfriend.
Oof.
Okay,
Parent Trap's in
Uh-oh.
trouble.
So I said one of my two least favorite tropes in comedies, romantic comedies, is the predicated on a lie that's going to fall apart at some
Uh-huh.
point. The other one is movies where one of the characters who you're supposed to like and think is a good person are together with the worst human being who
Yeah.
ever lived.
Right, a person who's just like, I'm terrible.
Exactly.
Right, you're like,
Like
why
they
did
just sort of
Dennis
sit
Quaid
on the
like
chair
her?
and they're
Right.
like, ha, I suck.
She is Satan.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's one of these movies where they
Straight
keep on
up.
calling her Cruella de Vil, and it's like, that's kind of kind. You're sort of...
Yeah.
she doesn't
But at
want
the
to
same
murder
time-
any animals.
At the same time, like at the very beginning, she hasn't done anything. Like she's just a bit young, and
Sure.
she's just hanging out, and you're like, and they hate her immediately.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
doesn't. She just tries her best to be nice to the daughter of her boyfriend at the beginning.
Right, and
at
then the movie
very
reveals
beginning.
that
And
they
then she's
sniffed
on
her
the
out
phone and
correctly.
she's-
Yeah.
Right.
Well, on the phone, she's like, "Yeah, we'll ship the kids off to boarding school."
Yeah,
Right.
but she
Right.
only
Too.
says that
Yeah.
after they're like really, 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 really mean to her for no reason.
I agree with you, Elena.
Which
I
is-
think every Nancy Myers movie has this character, and
Yeah.
it's always a problem.
Lake Bell
like they're never
character.
shaded
Yeah.
well enough. Like
It's
they're
very
only
cool.
a
Amanda-
plot
She's very
issue.
beautiful,
Right.
but like
Yeah.
she's allowed, like, and she's also a very successful PR person or whatever.
is.
Like
Yeah.
she's 26, and I mean she's doing great in life.
Right.
But the movie hates her.
and
The movie
she's,
despises
from the
her,
get-go.
as
Helping-
do the children.
she's a necessary part of the company because they need PR.
Do you
Because
think
Yeah.
he seems to be doing?
I was
fine.
going to say, they're
I mean-
only making millions of dollars
Yeah.
now. They need to get his
They
name
can make
out there.
trillions.
Yeah.
And it's a
Um,
shame we never see like her, like whatever she's making, like the new logo for the company or like a
Yeah, we never
poster.
see her
And if it was
skill.
like really shit,
Right.
then like we would
she
hate
says-
her and it would
She
make
says
sense.
it's like, I made a new logo with your face or whatever. I'm like,
Really?
what?
Which, to be fair, I would buy any
Yeah.
wine with
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid.
Wine with just Dennis Quaid's
Yeah,
face.
I'd get overwhelmed at a wine store. If I saw Dennis Quaid, I'd be like, yeah, easy choice.
And if it was like a 96
Take my
vintage,
money.
you could
Yeah.
call it like a Dragonheart vintage.
Does this come in white?
Yeah.
Do you have a Quaid rosé? And they're like, yeah, unfortunately, it's only Randy. A Randy rosé.
No, Randy's like white lightning, right? Like he's like some kind of weird spirits. Like
Yeah.
what do you call it in this country? Everclear. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's evil.
She's just evil.
Yeah.
She's a gold digger. This character's in the original film. The woman who plays her mother is the woman who played the gold digger in the
Ah.
60s film.
Ah.
Little hat
yes,
tip.
yes.
But she's
yeah.
like an obstacle they have to get around.
But it's
her, I guess.
interesting when there's a scene where one of the girls is like, why, like, what do you want? And she's so mature
This scene
as well.
is fascinating.
Yeah, it's very well. She's super,
They're both
super
very
mature. as
mature,
well.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, there's more, like the little girl is like, there's more than sex in life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, you're like, all right. And I think what she replies is, I know what I'm doing and I've worked really hard in my life and now I've got this and I'm going to do it. Like,
I think that what I love
very
about that
intense.
scene is that Lindsay Lohan's really pointing out that her dad is in this for the sex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
to the, you know,
He's like, he's having fun.
yeah, because Lindsay Lohan just clocks this girl and decides, look, my dad's having a bit of a midlife crisis. Obviously, he's going
And
to marry
they
this
both-
girl who's like 20 years younger than him.
Both
you know.
Richardson and Quaid are shaded as having no relationships in the last 11 years.
Yeah, none.
Like they've both
Yeah.
been
They've been
essentially
so devoted to their
right,
children, yada, yada,
asexual.
yada. But whereas she's just like, look, PR professional, I'm doing great. This is a rich guy, nice guy.
Right.
You know he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I do this? Like,
Exactly.
why am I going to turn this down?
But
That's
this
why I found the film really cool.
But she
to
could
watch.
have turned her down and tell her that, well, like in a very kind way, like, you know, I'm
Instead of being
sorry,
like,
but my
I'm
dad
gonna-
doesn't love you.
right.
And then when we go on that camping trip, and at the end, I don't remember what happened, they do something really horrible to her, and he's like, and she's like, it's me or the kid. He's like, the kids, and he's almost like smiling at her. He's like, I'm choosing the kids
Yeah.
over you.
Right.
Like,
cruel.
you're-
They do-
I don't actually love
she
you. I
shouldn't
made
have
you.
said it's me or the kids.
Yeah,
mean,
but at the
that's
same
her.
time,
She's
so he's
overplaying
so
her hand.
satisfied. He's so
Right, right.
satisfied.
David, you have to understand from her perspective, she just went through the most traumatic thing a person can experience. Seeing a lizard atop their water bottle.
Yeah, no.
The lizard goes in her
it goes in her
mouth,
mouth.
and she has to
That's
spit it out.
insane. I would hate
it's like-
everyone.
She's got a
that
heavy
happened.
duty water bottle. There's like a cloth netting cover around it. The lizard is on top. She just has to see a lizard and then she reacts so poorly that it ends up in her mouth.
That's
They
true.
didn't put a lizard in her mouth. At
put it
that
on her
point, that's
head.
on her. Yeah.
They put it on her head.
Yeah.
It's
We could
horrible.
put it on her head. Yeah.
And
you know-
they put her bed on the middle of the freaking
In the
lake.
water.
She could have drowned.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
But you know what? It's
They're a little
like
stinker.
they are stinkers. But look, if you're going to marry a nice, hot Napa Valley millionaire,
Uh-huh.
you're going to have to put up with his kids, and his kids might hate you.
I mean,
And they might be a pain in the ass. They might put lizards in your soup or whatever. And also, maybe this guy made this terrible decision 11 years ago, and there's going to be a second kid.
You
Also,
never know.
you gotta deal with that.
You have
You
to
never
be ready
know.
for everything. You
and,
know?
and we all know about the Dennis Quaid trials. One does not simply marry Dennis Quaid. You have to prove yourself to be good of heart, pure of intention.
So that's what Meg Ryan did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was America's sweetheart.
Right.
And that's a real chicken and the egg question. Should she become America's sweetheart because of Dennis Quaid? Or is that the reason why she was able to get Dennis Quaid? The thing I was going to say is that this scene in which they sniff each other out is fascinating because they play it with like the sophistication and intensity of a movie in which like two con artists recognize each other.
Yeah,
Right. Where
And
it's like, we
what's
both
your-
got the same mark here.
Right. What's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
angle here?
It's like the Prestige again.
Right. It gets
It is just
really,
right.
really fucking severe.
Elaine Hendricks is the Scarlett Johansson of this movie.
Yes.
She's plays Meredith.
Elaine Hendricks had a couple years where she did this, where she
yes,
was
yeah.
this type. She weirdly plays the same part in Superstar, the Mary Catherine Gallagher film, where she's like, she would always be the impediment, like
The
the,
mean blonde
conflict
lady.
girlfriend.
It's funny because
in the way of the true
I
love.
have a friend named Meredith Blake, and I keep like
Really?
going like, "Woo," every time they
Yeah.
because they say her full name a lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
She's a
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
name person.
Like Meredith
But
Blake.
I like all the like wrinkles they set up within like even I mean jumping ahead, but the her recognizing Natasha Richardson as the designer, not knowing that that's the
Yeah,
ex.
so
so
nice.
good.
I love that bit. It's so cute.
Like that's so much a Nancy kind of farce thing where it's all about these relationships, setting up the different dynamics rather than just like crazy kind of twin pranks.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So
And
then, the
also-
London side is calmer. That's more
Yeah,
just
yeah,
lovely, right?
Because it's not the
There she
boy.
goes
Her
again.
mom's
They do
kinda
Abbey
boring.
Road.
It is crazy to see Natasha Richardson. It is also crazy how much she looks like Emma Thompson in this
Yeah, she
movie because
does.
she's
A lot.
styled like her in like
And
Love
just her
Actually
acting
or
style
whatever.
is similar.
That's
Her
what's
acting style.
weird
The
is that-
character
yes.
is so similar.
She's
it-
styled like an Emma Thompson that didn't come about until a couple years after
right,
this.
right. She
Yeah.
has the haircut that Emma Thompson will soon have.
Right.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's very good in it. This is right around the time. This is the same year she does Cabaret on Broadway, which
Oh,
I
wow.
saw her in, which she won a Tony for,
Yeah.
which was this like
Wow.
very radical approach to an iconic character that Liza Minnelli
Yeah.
obviously kind of owns.
Mhm.
It was the one, with Alan Cumming.
Yeah,
as,
yeah.
Oh wow.
And it's so funny because she's so gentle in this, and she's like not in. That's her other like she's
Yeah.
not an iconic actress. She didn't really get the chance to be.
No.
No, she
I mean, she's
worked a
Patty
lot.
Hearst. I mean, that's her
Oh,
big
right.
breakout
The
movie.
Schrader movie. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, what else is she in? She's in Nell.
I mean, she did a lot of films, but it feels like she didn't totally get to.
No, obviously she is
Basically.
acting royalty. She's
Yes.
the daughter of Vanessa Redgrave. She's the
Right.
sister of Jolie Richardson. She's
Right.
the granddaughter of Michael
Richardson.
Redgrave.
Yeah.
Tony Richardson, the director, was her father. All that.
Right.
big, famous acting English family.
But she's also genuinely talented. So she's
So
not just the
talented.
daughter of someone.
No, I know.
Many
Right.
of the Red Grays are actually really good.
Yeah.
They
So,
all are,
like-
Lynn. I mean, I'm just like, in England, they are the most famous
Right.
acting
Yeah.
family. They are absolute royalty, all of them, even though Vanessa Redgrave is always just grabbing the mic and being like, I want to talk about Israel. Like, it doesn't matter. People are still like, venerated legend.
Yeah.
She can do what she wants.
But Vanessa Redgrave just had that insane like 2-year run where like everyone died around her. Like it was just this like tragic, horrible like Bermuda Triangle where they all fell to different sorts of. I mean, like Natasha Richardson's death was such a freak accident.
Very frightening.
Yeah,
Very sad.
Rip.
yeah, really, really
Good in this
tragic.
movie.
Very good in this film. Really charming. I mean, that's the thing that this movie, that these two performances really help sell is just like how much these feel like nice homes you'd want to be in. And I like
Yeah,
that because you don't see the home lives before camp.
Yeah.
You're seeing them through the eyes of each girl seeing it for the first time,
Yeah,
being
exactly.
like, I'd be totally happy with this.
And at some point, when one of them is like, "You have to come back because
Right,
Dad has a girlfriend." The one is like, "Hell no, I want to stay with Mom."
I
this
need like
fucking
a few
rules.
weeks
Yeah.
of this. Yeah.
So how horrible is it that so the British one, Annie, when she goes to see her dad for the first time, she's the one who has to deal with the girlfriend
I know.
for the first time. Like Hallie
That's
never
true.
didn't even know that
Right,
was
she doesn't
happening.
get the dad
So she's
time.
like, I'm going to America. Oh no, I have to deal with this problem that was supposed to be my sister dealing with. And
Yeah,
like,
over in
it's not
London,
really-
zero conflict.
No conflict.
That's a nice, fun time.
She has a nice stroll in the park with her grandpa. and
Recreate
tells him
album
everything.
covers. Yeah.
She has the photo shoot for the wedding dress.
Yes.
It's like really tacky, it's super 90s, but yeah, she has a great time. Also, it's quite interesting that the mom makes wedding dresses, considering she got married and
This
then
is true.
divorced
Yeah.
immediately. It's kind of like a weird, like, I don't know what Freud would say about this. You know, it's kind of like a weird transference.
Right, that she can't
Yeah.
leave
She's got a
the scene of the
trauma.
crime. Right. Yeah.
I'm going to make wedding dresses for the rest of my life.
Well, and I mean, the wine isn't as 1-to-1, but it's sort of like part of the like.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
wine, yeah, because it's the wine they had.
Right.
It's like
clink.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Clink.
Clink?
I always had this faulty memory that the same photo was on the bottle of the wine when he shows it to her.
Right.
That he was like, and you remember
much.
this wine?
Of course, I had the label made.
Right.
By my girlfriend.
So then I guess they just get rumbled. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She's great at logos.
Yeah. I put your face on every bottle, you and your ex-wife.
Oh, Ben's bringing some pizza. I saw this pizza.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I want some of this. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Do you guys eat while you record, right?
Sometimes it's happened.
That's so
This
interesting.
rarely happens. where
Very
there's
rarely.
like a food delivery.
Sometimes The
think we should
Office
do
though
that.
has like a pizza, right? You know, like Audio Boom's staff or just
for
getting a
the
pizza.
Ben's knocking.
Knack
Oh,
knack.
hello? Oh,
Yeah.
look at this British pizza delivery man. God, he looks familiar. He looks like somebody. He's got glasses and he's got a British accent. But why, David, who does he remind
I
me
have
of?
no idea what this
This
bit is.
British pizza man. What's your name, sir?
English.
His name is English.
English. Shaka red hair, freckles.
Glasses.
He's so posh.
Hand on hip.
He couldn't be our beloved Ben Hosley, but yet the bone structure is so similar. Sassy posture.
I don't know what you mean.
When were you born?
He had to remember to do the accent.
When were you born?
1985.
Weird. He's reticent to state his birthday, much like our beloved Ben Hosley.
He'll just say the year.
It's
after
almost like
thinking
he
about
doesn't want to let people know.
it. How old he might be.
And it's weird, the way he holds that pizza, it's
A
like
slight slant.
when Ben delivers us pizza.
Which he has done.
Many
Very
times.
particular.
Ben, can I have some of this pizza? I'm so hungry.
Ben or whoever you are.
I mean, or
English.
English.
And now he has left the studio. He's gone. Sausage pizza with several slices already missing.
Who was this mysterious figure? Do you think
now
it
we
was
just have
Ben?
no producer. I'm good for now. It couldn't be Ben. That's impossible.
It's impossible.
That's impossible. But the one thing I will not consider is that he could be Ben's twin. There's no way that's
impossible.
the answer. He just has to be someone with a different accent who looks exactly
You
like
think they were like separated at birth and one of them lived in like North Orange and one lived in South Orange? I had to make a Jersey joke. No, for crying out
He
loud.
took off
Say
the
that.
hoodie.
Did you guys plan this in advance? Sometimes you plan these bits in advance without telling me.
Hey,
That didn't seem planned to me. No
No.
offense.
if I had planned this, it would be a lot more complicated.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. You missed a pizza delivery, Ben.
By some man called English. It's very interesting.
Wait, what was his name?
English?
English, I think.
Yeah. English
Ben
houses.
just dropped his glasses in the pizza.
But wait, those are the same glasses.
What? No.
I've seen those glasses before somewhere.
Hey, Ben, you know what's not smart?
What is that, David?
Job sites that overwhelm you with tons of the wrong resumes.
Okay.
You know what is smart?
What?
ZipRecruiter.com/blank.
That okay? Yeah.
Yeah,
you
they're
got
back.
Me. Sure. You got me.
The zippers.
Listening.
Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't wait for candidates to find you. ZipRecruiter finds them for you. So you don't have to like trawl through resume after resume looking for someone to hire to fit your whatever it is. It's got powerful matching technology that scans thousands of resumes, identifies people with the right skills, education, experience, and actively invites them to apply. So you get qualified candidates fast, Ben, for whatever job you've got.
So if like I wanted to hire like maybe like a producer,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
could put together like some qualifications of what I'm looking for, and then ZipRecruiter would do the work for me.
Yeah, and you get qualified candidate fast. You wouldn't have to wait for them to apply. It's no wonder ZipRecruiter is rated number 1 by employers in the U.S. That rating comes from hiring sites on Trustpilot with over 1,000 reviews. So right now, Blank Check listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/blank. That's ZipRecruiter.com/BLANK. ZipRecruiter.com/blank.
I don't understand why you keep spelling out to just type in ZipRecruiter.com.
Yeah, no, you've made a
Slash.
classic error.
I made
You
the error.
have. It's not that you leave it blank. You type blank. The word.
Oh.
ZipRecruiter.com/blank. It's the smartest way to hire.
So, there's a segment we always do in this miniseries. We have a special correspondent, longtime sister, Romley Newman, who is an expert in the food world, does her kitchen corner. So right now, we're going to cut live to Romley Newman's kitchen corner.
Welcome to Romley's Kitchen Corner. And here is your host, Miss Romley Newman, in her kitchen.
Hello, I'm reporting from a kitchen, and I'm talking about Parent Trap today. This movie doesn't really have a kitchen presence, but I would argue that Annie's house is very much a kitchen house. There's wine everywhere. There's strategically placed wine throughout the entire house. And you're in wine country. There's a lot of talk about food, a lot of talk about chili, and it's a very open layout house, so it does have this kind of comforting, welcome to my home, welcome to my kitchen vibe, even though all you really see is a marble countertop and a blue cabinet.
What do we have to say now?
I feel like the
They get rumbled.
Should we end on this?
the original Parent Trap, which I just remember would play on Disney Channel a lot, along with the sequels would play a lot, and I watched them probably in bits and pieces. I remember being a lot more like trying to set up circumstances to trick them into falling in love. And in this movie, they're pretty upfront, pretty quickly about like, we were hoping you'd get back together.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because it's obvious
Right.
to everyone.
Right.
And actually I think the politics of them like meeting again and stuff are at first quite good because they're like people, they had something one time and they're like, oh yeah, of course our daughters want us to be together, but like this is not happening. And it's quite really, really sad, those moments. Yeah. They're quite like, yeah, when they have that dinner on the boat, I think it's a boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're trying to recreate that night. It's so melancholy. It's so sad. And they're just, yeah, they don't have much to say to each other because
I can't imagine
it's
like
so
the
fucked
trauma
up.
of having
That's
to
insane.
relive
So
that.
weird.
that
Yeah.
It's so insane.
It's like 1517 to Paris. Like, you don't make people.
Relive it. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they should have taken them back to the hospital and been like, so what was the thinking?
Yeah.
When you're like, I'll take one, you
Scene
take
of the
one.
crime.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, they trick their parents to going to San Francisco.
But she's up front with Richardson. She's like, Dad
He
wants to
says
see
that
you.
she's not upfront. She says he wants to see you, but he doesn't
right.
want to see her.
Right.
They both tell their parents like the other one wants to see you.
But Quaid doesn't know she's going to be
Yeah,
there.
no, you're right. You're right.
That's
You're right.
that's the big
He
distinction.
doesn't have to go far.
Right.
Fucking Natasha Richards just got to go. Like it's like a 12-hour flight. I've done that flight.
Has never had a glass of wine in her life, more than one glass of wine, and then she like
There's this idea that she's afraid of flying.
yes.
That's and I think that's the only explanation we're given for why they never see each other.
Uh-huh.
Natasha Richards is afraid of flying. She says she drank a lot of wine for that one trip she made.
Right. That's why she lived on the QE2 for 15 years.
It's why they were on the boat.
Yeah.
Because they were.
But
the boat instead.
they literally have the thing where she like they open the car door and like little airplane plastic liquor bottles like roll out.
Yeah, and she gives her foot to the butler, and he's like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck?" And because she's drunk,
right.
Yeah.
Wrong end, I think he says to her.
Oh boy.
Just like
What
what?
a man.
Head first? What do you say?
Simon Coons is the butler.
Is the butler? Yeah.
Pulls her out
think they
of
should
the
have
car
done that
by the head.
Or she just pokes her head up, makes the butler drag her by the neck. But it's very odd. Yeah, I mean, he is like a near Mr. Belvedere, like stock, ridiculous, cartoony butler, and Chessie is such a bizarre, non-archetypal character.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
Them-
It's
meeting
also
is
funny
kinda
that
strange.
Natasha Richardson thinks she needs a fucking butler.
yeah.
Like,
Well, it's because they keep having tea all the freaking time.
it's
I
true.
don't know.
They do love their high tea in this movie.
Like, anytime you see him at home, it's like fucking platter.
But now he's also hot butler for Fox. He's got the leather jacket. He's hot daddy butler.
yeah,
I wasn't
Yeah.
comfortable
out of
with that
office
development.
word.
Elena, you were very not into the butler's
I was very not
personal
into that.
expression.
I didn't want to
Yeah.
have to think about him doing this stuff, while watching this movie about two kids trying to put their parents together. I was like, gosh, like, this is just not right.
They're
There are
gonna
kids
bang.
watching this film.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
maybe
well-
don't do that.
But
It
I
looked like
saw
he
this
was
movie when I was a
cruising.
kid, and I think all that stuff, I was just like, Butler looks funny.
Right, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Butlers
That's
were, like-
reassuring.
I don't know. I just think it feels like the '90s were kind of like peak butler humor.
Yeah.
I remember
yeah.
as a kid finding butlers really funny.
It was like butler or nanny or like
Yeah.
that random
Right,
adult
right.
in the house that
There's
takes
the-
care of the kids who's
That's-
not the parents.
Fresh
because
Prince
there
of
were loads
Bel-Air.
of like rom-coms.
I guess there's Alfred, Batman's butler. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Arcade Fire.
The Sandler. What?
Arcade Fire has a couple butlers. Walt Butler, Win Butler.
That was good.
Thank you. No, the other
I
big.
didn't like that.
and inside so hard.
I think it is the post
Expected.
John Gielgud butler.
Denholm Elliott, too. Yeah, you're right.
Those
John
two.
Gielgud and Arthur and Denholm Elliott
Right.
in Trading Places.
Those
yeah.
kind of started Butler Mania,
Where
which
it's like,
ran
if you're
into about
rich,
2000.
you just have a
Mania.
butler.
And you
I-
love the butler who also is like kind of like a moral conscience, like gives you advice, is
Yeah,
your
yeah,
best
yeah.
friend.
I really like that Frasier episode where he hires a butler and it's Victor Garber. No, Ferguson called
No.
Ferguson, and
No.
at the end of where he's all, and Ferguson sends everyone gifts, and Frasier's sad about having to let him go at the end or something, and he's like, "Ferguson, send yourself a gift." Like it's funny.
That's
No
really
one
funny.
cares.
I also really like Garrett Butler,
Yes.
Sure.
the ultimate butler.
Yeah.
Has he ever played a butler? I think he
I can
should.
think of.
He's played a butt head certainly a number of times. I don't think he's
That's
ever
the
played
awful
a butler.
truth.
Yep.
I had to like rush to that punchline.
Congratulations.
Lena's just looking at her phone, sick of this.
How quickly
Like,
she
She's
can
played
get
a
on
machine gun preacher.
Greyhound back. Played a machine gun
All right,
preacher. Yes,
okay,
he did.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they reunite in this San Francisco hotel. It's mostly hotel action. The third,
And this is when they're
fourth,
doing a
whatever.
lot of like one walks away, the other one
Yeah.
comes back. How did you get here so fast? How did
It's
you change
very
your
De
outfit?
Palma. I love it.
It's
like
good, it's fun.
crossing and rooms.
This is
and
definitely her
corridors.
homage to Body Double.
Body double, yeah,
Right,
clearly, clearly. My favorite movie.
But there's also this French movie where there's this whole business where there are people and they get the wrong luggage and they get in the wrong room. You know, the Louis de Funès movie?
yeah.
Maybe La La Cuisse. I don't know. It's like very famous French movie where there's a whole scene in a hotel and they get
it's
the
so
wrong luggage and they keep switching rooms, but obviously the number 6 becomes a 9 because
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's really like a
Yeah.
template of that
and so
kind of
someone
humor.
ends up
It's really
sleeping next to the wrong person, and like
Yeah.
it's just antics like that. That really like.
It's really well done in this movie, and I really love the fact that she's drunk as well. The
Yeah.
mom.
Yes, yes.
That's
I like that a
really
lot.
funny.
They set up a lot of fun little challenges for them trying to get the parents together.
I love
And
that
then-
she's drunk and he just like is just hanging out doing nothing and being generally like
when he
just
sees
just
her,
hanging out.
useless
That's
guy.
his role.
when he sees her though, it's so good because she's like whatever drunk, and then he sees her and he's in the elevator, and he just goes like this because the door is
Yeah, it's-
closing. It's so nice. I love it.
It's pretty elegant.
It's so nice.
But also, why is he like smiling and stuff? He should be like horrified
Like,
or just
come back
Because
to
the
confused.
haunt
truth
me.
is that he still loves her.
But how can he be such a like happy-go-lucky guy after having
'Cause
done
he's
this
a guy.
horrible thing?
Because he's a man.
But they also, they have the moment while they're waiting to try to get Quaid in the same place where she sits at the bar next to Elaine Hendricks.
Right.
And orders like something to sober her up that she says tastes like tar.
I think
And-
it's a Bloody Mary.
While she's closing out her account, Elaine Hendricks looks over, which I think is a really good character detail. That she's the kind of
Yeah.
person who'd always want to check everyone else's like credit card, how much they're tipping,
And
what
always
their
looking-
name is.
Always looking for a hot client, maybe.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
hey, maybe I can make
Right.
a logo for you.
Right.
With your face?
Interested in a logo?
What if your face was on the dresses?
What if that's the third act of Phantom Thread, where he's like, my face is going to be on all the dresses from now on?
And Alma is
He's,
like,
like,
no, it's
stitching
going to
it
be
in.
my face.
Right.
It's not gonna be in the hem anymore. It's gonna be the main feature of my clothes.
What if Elaine
I'm gonna write
Hendricks?
mom everywhere. Mom.
What if Elaine Hendricks' strategy was literally just put a Dennis Quaid on it for everything?
Yeah.
Regardless of who she was
Right.
working with.
Yeah, she
Quaid
gives
it
you the
up.
logo and it's just Quaid's face. And they're like,
There are
but-
all
and
these
he's not involved with the
companies.
company. Yeah, but
Yeah.
There are
good
all
face.
these companies who have all the same logo, and it's very confusing. And
It's basically like They Live, but
Right.
with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah. Toyota, a legend of the car industry. But have you ever put in Jesus Christ, I'm giving up. I retire. I'm done.
Quaid.
Putin.
Quaid. Putin.
Yeah.
So yeah, so now it's they set up this thing where they try to 3-card Monty. Like, you don't know which one of us is
Yes.
It's
which.
the one time they brazenly do
Oh
it.
my god.
Right.
It's so horrifying. And the parents are so scared. They're like, shit, like I can't get this wrong.
I like that scene, right? Because
Yeah.
it's the chickens coming home to roost for the parents, where they're like, right, see,
Yeah.
you've created this, and now they've evolved and they can work against you.
They're the raptors talking to each other in
Because
Jurassic Park 3.
It makes sense that they can't tell the kids apart because they don't have the experience of raising
Right.
two kids together.
Exactly.
So they're just like, well, I mean, one of you is my
Yeah.
child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's how they convince them to go on a camping trip all together.
Yeah.
Right, because this
God,
is
I always
after they've
forget
had...
about that bit because
There's
you
two,
just
Right.
assume
there's
it's
two
gonna end.
camping
Yeah.
trips in one movie. That's a lot of camping. Is that what American kids do all
And
the
also,
time?
like one thing to say is that at the first in the summer camping, I'm used to watching movies where the summer camp is a setting for slasher films. So I was really, and they have the same boats as in that movie, The Burning, where someone like dies. It's really funny. And I was just expecting, because they get so insane, like putting stuff on the roof and stuff. I was like, are they gonna like stab
You
someone?
had never
A
seen this
knife
before.
No, I had never seen this movie before.
So
and
you
then
just
I was just
assumed,
like,
right.
are you actually doing insane stuff just to reference slasher films? Like, what is this? Like,
To you,
Parent
it
Trap.
felt like a location. Like, it felt like
It was
shooting
such a slasher
romantic
film
comedy in like a
location.
gothic castle. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, obviously a vampire is going to come out.
Yeah,
Why else would we
exactly.
pick this location?
exactly. And then they go back to camping, and I was just like, oh god.
Yeah.
And she's drifting on when Meredith is drifting on the water. I was just like, Jason's gonna
Someone's
come out of the
gonna-
water
Jason.
and,
Just
drag her
like
in.
drag you back in the water.
Well, I assume in France, summer camp is not a thing. In Britain, it's not,
Not
a
really.
thing.
Some people do it, but I don't think it's nearly as popular.
And it
Shut
doesn't all look the
This
same.
guy,
like
I
in
know
those
he's
movies.
been
You went to
camping
camp.
I went
for
to
that's your
billions
thing.
of
people
years.
like it when I talk about it on the podcast.
Why not? What?
People complain because he talks about it.
The most
Why?
offensive thing we've ever
Well,
done in the
that's
history of the
that's
show.
what he lived. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's
Fuck
fine.
I
you guys.
don't give a shit.
I know.
Look,
I'm telling
we will-
the people.
And we have a policy on this podcast. We never prevent people from talking about their childhoods, especially where they were at different times.
In Britain,
David, shut the fuck
camp, if you're being sent to summer camp, I think I've said this on the podcast before, that means your parents hate you. Because they're just like, get this kid away. Because summer
Really?
camp is just like, it's like military school.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, they go on the camping trip and they're awful to poor Elaine Hendricks.
The QED reconciliation attempt happens before
QE2.
this. QE2. The QE2
Yes,
happens before that, and they're both like, look, this is sweet. I don't know why we ever broke up, but clearly we're going to go back to our respective lives.
They kind of say that
For them, it's more like a nice memory.
Right,
yeah,
right.
and they both say, well, we have really good lives now. So there's
I
a
guess
there's
it all
a
turned
sense,
out well.
Yeah, there's a sense of them having focused on their careers
Right.
and having made a good living.
But that's where he says the
Yeah.
thing of like, I I didn't think I was supposed to go after
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
he does admit fault.
But it's interesting because it's sort of about how your career, can't fulfill everything, and it's sad.
It is
It's a very
just-
like
They could have just found other people to be with as well. Like,
Yes.
That's true, but they couldn't because they still love each other. See,
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
and then they could have.
it's called
stayed
psychology.
together.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't because they had their careers.
They imprinted on each other. It is just this crazy thing in this 2 hour and 8 minute
Yep.
90s studio comedy for
Children's
children
film, yep.
that like they don't end up in the same place until like 90 minutes into the film. And then this final camping trip happens like in the last 20 minutes of the movie.
I thought it was going to be over before that campaign.
Yeah,
right.
It really
happens.
feels like,
Jesus
wait,
Christ.
Once they're on the
What?
boat together.
They
We're
just
going
really
camping
wanted-
again?
I just
Nancy-
really wanted to
yeah.
be extra cruel to Meredith, just a little bit more.
So Nancy just always throws in an extra act for good
No,
measure.
that-
She gives
this
you
act is
another
in the
act
movie.
for the.
This is a exactly
Yeah.
like the original.
I know, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It just feels like that would be her creation.
Yeah, it does.
But then, yeah, I mean, I just like that Meredith kind of like dooms herself
Sure.
by offering the ultimatum.
Yeah, that's the card she shouldn't play.
Right.
But I think it's a card she's getting ready to play anyway.
She wants to ship him off to Timbuktu.
She does want the kids out of the picture.
Yeah.
So I guess she plays the card and he's like, what? No.
Yeah.
I'm not into that. Of
Yeah.
course, he's like emotionally so stunted because it's like, how do you not have that conversation about
Exactly.
are you ready to take on the responsibility of my kid
Mhm.
before you talk to your kid and be like, well, maybe I'm going to marry this lady.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So their engagement's really fucking fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long was she at summer camp? A month? 2 months max?
maybe 8
Yeah.
weeks.
They're not back into the school year yet.
No.
It's still the summer.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So she said, and then the cut is basically like they're punished when they like arrive
Yeah,
back. He's like, yeah, Meredith's out of here, but they're still punished.
For the
Yeah.
rest of their days.
Right.
Yeah.
And they go their separate ways. But then, how do you beat someone on a plane to London?
Concorde jet.
Take
baby.
the
Right.
Concorde.
Yeah. My brother James used to be
a great
obsessed
twist.
with the Concorde.
Concorde scares the shit out of me.
And anytime we were at the airport, he'd be like, "Are we flying the Concorde?" And it was like, "No, we're going to Boston."
Yeah, right.
He just always wanted to be on a Concorde jet. I don't think he ever rode on one.
Well, it was only transatlantic.
Right.
Like it was literally just
Yeah.
But my dad flew on the Concorde. But yeah, it seems so scary. I was so scared of the Concorde.
Yeah.
I was scared of flying.
But there's a
so.
reason they don't do it anymore. I mean,
Well, a couple of them crashed.
yeah.
couple.
But it's also just they're so expensive. Like they could never
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
sustain the
Yeah.
the
But
price.
is it like a
point.
different experience being in it than a normal plane?
Yeah, you have to like sit down the whole time.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
not and it's I mean it's there's booms because it's breaking the sound barrier.
Is
so
everyone like screaming the whole time like a roller coaster? Yeah.
and then but also it takes
6 hours.
no time. I mean it's very 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 fast.
Like,
How
how
long
fast?
is that?
Let me look it up. I can-
Let's find out about the Concorde.
Yeah,
I like
baby.
the idea that they would like give you a photo like at the end of like a theme park ride. Like, look at the stupid face you were making on the Concorde.
For like a few hours.
Yeah.
But it's worth knowing that actually. I want to know how long Dennis Quaid. Oh, no, not Dennis Quaid. Richardson. Yeah, had
Yeah.
to wait for the other guys to arrive in a normal plane.
Right.
Like you don't know how long.
The
they've
thing
been
when you
just-
take a normal plane to London is that you arrive at an airport that's quite far away, far out, and then you have to drive.
Yeah.
So they had plenty of
so
time.
it's like a lot of hours.
Yeah. This movie also
Yeah.
doesn't deal with like the customs.
Yeah,
Like both
That's
probably have to
true.
wait online for like 90 minutes, depending on what time they landed.
right. So it could do New York to Paris 3.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it flew at Mach 2.
Yeah.
So twice the speed of sound.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty
we
cool.
should try it again, I think.
But
Right.
yeah,
We could be
but
on
it
this
was
podcast
fucking,
more often.
Yeah.
That's true.
It was fucking crazy. It would fly at 56,000 feet.
Mhm.
Planes usually fly around 35 to 40,000 feet. It's crazy. It's completely bizarre that we did this and we don't do it anymore. That's the weirder part.
It's
Went
one
too
of the
far.
one of those
Yes.
examples of technology that has
Regressing.
regressed.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they should make a movie about it instead of making First Man.
All right, let's not
Last
talk
plane.
about this, man.
Last plane.
Less.
Fast plane.
Yeah.
Fast plane. Okay.
There is kind of like maybe like a good like Tucker Man in His Dream movie about the Concorde where it's like
as
he
like the
nailed
sort
it
of right, yeah.
and they still were like, no, we can't do this anymore.
He was too smart for
Too
the
smart.
for
Man
his
was not
times.
meant to travel at these speeds.
No.
So they take the Concorde and he's like, I finally came after you, Natasha. He says it like that.
Right. And they just immediately I mean, where are they gonna live now?
They don't
We don't
make
know.
that clear.
Yeah.
Right.
They just get married on the QE2.
because not to like
on the plane. Maybe.
prioritize one career or the other, but his career is very geographically.
That's true.
But at the
based.
same time, like, what is he doing? He can get someone to do that, and he
Like
can just get on the
Chessie.
phone.
What does Chessie exist for?
Well, Chessie's got to marry the butler,
yeah,
though. They
she's
get
not married
engaged.
with them.
Yeah.
The credits.
No. They get engaged at the wedding, which
Yeah.
is supremely obnoxious
Yeah.
behavior. You do not get engaged at a wedding.
No.
That is outrageous.
But they're part of the families.
I know.
The
I
butler
know,
does
I
it.
know. Plus, it's the second wedding of
Yeah.
literally they're getting married
Yeah.
for the second time. To
They
each
made a
other, so,
mistake.
you know.
They should have married only once. From them.
The Parent Trap.
But yeah.
The only reasonably budgeted film of Nancy Meyer's career.
$15 million was
It's a
the
lot.
budget on this
That's enough
film.
at the
Isn't that
time.
a lot?
No?
Yeah, but then she starts making like $80 million.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Fair enough.
I mean, everyone gets their quote on The Parent Trap. And, you know, Natasha Richardson and Dennis Quaid were not like that kind of superstar level actor.
No, this was the kind of thing for a while. It was like if you were someone who is like a leading man or a leading lady who never had like massive crossover breakthrough success, once you got to parent age, you could get good steady paychecks in these types of Disney films, live action Disney films.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, being the parent in the comedy, something like this, or then like him doing The Rookie a couple years later. You know, Dennis Quaid had his run as sort of being like a Disney guy.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Makes sense.
But it was definitely like
He's dad. He's
dad.
very
Daddy.
dad.
He's daddy.
He is daddy. I mean, that's what Jude Law's going to say
Dennis Quaid.
in fucking in The Holiday. Jude Law says, "I am daddy."
Spoiler.
In what?
In The Holiday, another Nancy Myers.
Oh, yeah, he does. Oh, my gosh.
There's a moment where he
Great
says,
movie.
"I am daddy," and we're going to talk about it. Jude Law is daddy, but yes, the box office game, guys. July 31st, 1998. I was on vacation in America, and I saw this movie.
July 31st.
July 31st.
David, you were walking on thin ice. July 31st.
We're going to have a conversation about this.
on mic.
Yes, later.
Cool.
Number one at the box office. So Parent Trap opens number 2.
Okay.
Opens to 11 million, makes 66. Very nice multiplier.
Steady, Summer Sleeper, makes about 100 worldwide. I think it makes 96.
92.
Well,
I mean, I don't mean
yeah,
to split
no,
hairs.
about 92.
Number one at the box office, though, is a big epic movie that we've talked about on this podcast.
Of
The highest
19
grosser of 98.
Oh, it is. Saving Private Ryan. In what
Second week.
week of it's crazy. Because it has a long run.
It does. It's already made $73 million.
Yeah.
It's going to
Wow.
make 216.
So I know something that's in the top 5.
Oh, yeah?
It's the film that kept on creeping all summer, kept
Yeah.
on moving up the charts. What is it, number 3 at this
It is.
point? Okay, Something About Mary.
Look at him go.
Because
What
Something
is
About Mary
that?
opened at
In
number
its
6.
third week.
And then it kept on every week moving up
Oh,
the chart
wow.
and didn't
Wow.
It was
become
number
one.
4 the week before.
It's like,
I
it's
mean-
like The Great Showman.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It was so fucking exciting.
It
Like,
was a classic word of mouth success, right? Where people kept being like, "You gotta see this." You know,
because I remember. I mean, was this the same summer that the Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds home run thing was happening?
yes, you're absolutely right. This
Okay.
is the.
I remember
yes,
this distinctively
right.
because my brother and my dad would get really excited about like who's going
Right.
to break the American
home run
baseball
record.
home run record.
And it turns
And
out
then-
both Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa broke it, and Mark McGuire
Right.
got more. Yeah,
And then our thing, my dad and I, was what position is Something About Mary going to be? And it would literally just move up one position every week.
Wow,
Like it opened at 6 and people were like, that's kind of disappointing. And then it was 5, 4, 3, 2. And then we were like, what if they fuck it up? What if they don't get to 1?
It
And
did?
It got to 1. And my Big Fat
Wow.
Greek Wedding had the same thing where it kept on moving up and then it never got to 1. The week that it was going to hit 1, Swim Fan beat it.
hey man.
A tragic, tragic time in American history.
But my Big Fat Greek Wedding made more money.
It did. So Something About Mary is number 3.
Yes, number 4 is a new film this week.
Uh-huh.
It's a thriller, I guess.
Uh-huh.
How to describe, like a grown-up action thriller. Interesting director who's had a long and interesting career in Hollywood that we might want to cover someday, but like
Later entry.
no, earlier entry.
Early entry.
Starring an Oscar nominee and an Oscar winner.
Were they in the March Madness bracket, this director?
No, it's a director I have a lot of trouble with, but has indisputably made great movies. He's also just made a couple of bad movies.
So what year are we talking?
This is 98.
Copland?
Nope. He's not a director you would think of. like,
Where
right
would
away,
you
which is
rank this? You
unfortunate.
say he's made great movies and horrible movies. Is this
Right in
a
the middle.
skimmer?
This is a programmer.
Great.
It's a pretty good
Super
movie.
helpful.
And
this
sort
is
of
a tough movie
a
to
veteran
describe.
Oscar winner, and then someone who's kind of being anointed as a new star, a recent nominee. Is that the idea?
No, 2 stars. But honestly, it's the Oscar winner who's being anointed.
Weird. They're the more.
He's newer.
He's
He
newer.
also is a bad person.
Oh.
He's a bad.
Yes.
How bad?
Bad. Bad.
So is it a Kevin Spacey movie?
Yes.
Oh.
Correct. But he's second billed. But he is the title character. Actually, well, they're both title characters.
American Beauty.
No.
Nah.
1998. He's the title character.
Is it the David thing, blah, blah? What is it called? The movie where it's like actually the
David
bad
Gale?
guy?
Wait, sorry.
Oh, Life and Times of David
But,
Gale.
No, it's not
he's
David
in
Gale.
that, though. He's the
Yeah.
lead in
Although
that.
Alan Parker is an interesting career.
He is an interesting character.
He's a bad director, though.
1998.
Well, good and bad.
He's got some good films.
Yeah.
1998. Kevin Spacey. He's a title character.
Yeah, this is a great box office game. I'm loving this. People are freaking out right now.
Is it really obvious?
No. It's a movie that people forget about, but it was a hit movie.
Oh,
Not a hit. It was a
know
solid movie.
Exactly what it is. It's directed by F. Gary Gray.
Correct.
It is called The Negotiator.
The Negotiator. And Kevin Spacey is the title character because
Yes.
he is the negotiator, but I believe Samuel L. Jackson is also playing a negotiator.
Yes.
The idea is that he's the old negotiator who's
More
like
the negotiator.
who's
It's a
taken
great
someone
premise.
hostage, right?
Right.
And Kevin Spacey's the new negotiator who's
And
negotiating.
he's like, I'll
with
only
him.
negotiate with the best negotiator
Right.
I know.
Right.
Oh yeah, I think I have that on DVD. Yeah, because I read the synopsis. I was like, "This is crazy."
That's definitely
Feels
a
like one of the
movie
movies
probably
you pick
bought
up
at
at
CEX.
CEX.
Yeah.
That was so. My brother.
It's a
Yeah.
good movie. It's just so long. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I
What?
never just want to
Boring.
like throw it on.
I'll tell you my 2 big negotiator-related memories.
The
One,
two? How do you have
two.
two? I
Two.
don't have any.
2. One is my brother, who's been invoked a lot in this episode, used to always fight my parents about like his bedtime and like how much more food he had to eat before
So
he
you
could have
would
dessert.
negotiate a lot.
Right. And then when this movie came out, they were like, oh, look, it's the Jamesy movie. It was
Sure.
a big running joke in my
cute.
family, and then we called him the negotiator for a long
That's
time
so
after
nice.
that.
That is funny.
The second thing is,
That is a good bit.
that's a good bit. We called James the negotiator, and he was like a little 8-year-old boy. But the other bit was, or the other memory is that my friend Dean Diaguardi, when I was 10, his dad was a limousine driver, and his birthday party was like 10-year-old boys got to ride around in a limousine.
Oh my god!
And he had like a TV and a VCR in the back, and we watched The
Champagne.
Negotiator. And that was
It's a
This-
grown-up movie.
that was this like birthday party in the year 2000. Was like a bunch of 10-year-olds watching The Negotiator and being like, pretty smart. It's a pretty intelligent adult thriller.
It's not a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie at all.
His career though is like Friday, which is obviously like a
Right.
cultural touchstone.
Mhm.
Set It Off, which is his great movie.
Mhm.
It's a terrific movie. The Negotiator, which is like a solid Hollywood movie.
Right.
Then there's that Vin Diesel movie, A Man Apart, that kind of sucks.
Not a very good film.
Then there's the Italian
Pains me
Job.
to say that. That's not a
I
very
know.
good film.
Italian Job
Big hit.
remake, which is good.
Very fun.
Then Be Cool, which is a blank check disaster.
Right. Catastrophe.
Law Abiding Citizen, which I've never seen, but seems
think
kind of crummy.
Pretty rote program, but that does pretty well.
Yes, and then Straight
And that's
Outta
a film. That is a film where the Butler did it.
Yes, and then Gerard, and then Straight Outta Compton, which obviously is this sort of like smash hit.
Once again, colossal cultural moment movie.
right? And then follows it up with the eighth Fate of the Furious.
Right. And now he's doing a new Men in
It's
Black.
a fascinating career.
Like he's been signing on to these big Mask, which is like one of the
Mobile
Hasbro
Armored
Cinematic
Strike
Universe
Command.
films. Yeah. He's like now become a big tentpole dude.
Yeah, and he's like a black director who's worked in like many genres in
Yeah.
Hollywood, and like I don't know, we could do F. Gary Gray.
And he like started out in the music video world and like the
course.
rap journalism world.
He
and-
directed it. It was a Good Day
Right,
video.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
Anyway,
career. We should put him
set
in the
off
next
rules.
March Madness.
Number 5. Yeah, that's right. We're not done. Is a movie that every single person my age, certainly every girl my age, saw so many times. I feel like it's a bit of a forgotten movie. It is a great movie.
Is it Ever After?
It is Ever After, a Cinderella story starring Drew Barrymore, Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
Sort of a grown-up, well, sort of like a reboot of Cinderella. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, it was like a more like it was a less fantastical Cinderella was kind of the idea,
Yeah,
right?
It was Dougray Scott's coming out.
Right.
Jean Moreau is in it.
Weird.
Oh,
Legend of French cinema.
Jeanne Moreau. you
I
mean.
never saw that movie, and I remember being so excited for it. And then I was such a Disney kid, I was disappointed when I saw the trailer, and I was like, "Where are the mice? Where's the pumpkin? These guys got it so wrong.
They strip all that out.
Yeah,
They
I
make
wanted
it
all
into a
that
teen movie.
Yeah.
You got Mask of Zorro,
Mhm.
Lethal Weapon 4, Armageddon. Man, I saw all these
This was an
movies.
interesting
I was
summer.
going to the movies.
Yeah.
Dr. Dolittle with Eddie Murphy,
Huge.
Jane Austen's Mafia,
Humongous.
Basketball opening this week. Not so humongous.
Saw it opening day.
Believe I saw it on that vacation
Yeah.
because I was like into South Park. I was like a 12-year-old idiot.
I wasn't allowed to watch South Park. I liked Airplane, and James liked both basketball and baseball.
Sure.
So it was like an easy pitch for like a Sunday with Dad or whatever. I think we saw it probably opening Sunday. Anyway,
But that
not important.
means, David, you were in town at the same time as Griffin when you were going to see movies.
True.
Although you were not living here.
I was not living here by this point, 98.
I
but-
didn't mean to
Monty,
do that.
we
I
have
didn't mean-
retired a bit.
No,
But when I saw movies, I would usually stay with our friends on like the Upper West Side where I grew up, and I feel like you were probably seeing movies downtown, but maybe not.
Downtown Griffin, no.
But you're never going to the Lincoln Square AMC, which was
we'd go
brand
there-
new at the time.
We'd go there for special events. I mean, certainly
Yeah.
with IMAX things, although they were like
It was-
museum IMAX
right.
movies
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I remember seeing basketball at the theater that is now the IFC Center, which is then shut down and was unoccupied for like a decade
Yes,
before it reopened.
There's a few of those, you know.
I didn't mean to do the bit. I just meant to say
It's not a bit. I grew up in
serendipity
England,
would have made something
and we
happen.
retired the bit.
It's fine.
Why did you retire it?
Because I had enough of it. Actually, I didn't ask. Griffin just did it, but I felt like he was responding to my obvious.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of it.
So now instead of having the bit, we have the anti-bit, which is
Right.
so much worse.
So much
Where
worse.
Griffin
He's,
gets
just-
mad.
he's driven it into the ground.
David said to me, "This bit has poisoned every well in my life."
Correct.
And I, as an act of mercy, said, "I will hang the bit up from the rafters," and the bit is gone. And then every week he fucking tempts me. He throws the bit in my face.
So we might as well just talk about it. Yeah, it's fine.
David's just got a pile of red cards sitting next to him. Ben's been flipping them down like he's a fucking blackjack dealer.
I'm literally going to split comedic hairs with you. The bit is you making fun of me growing up, like
no,
bringing
it's
up
not.
that I grew
The
up in
bit
England.
is the notion that you grew up.
I wasn't doing a bit.
It
You
was
were doing a
bit.
bit.
You said it was a bit and you hated it.
The fact that he grew up there, you can't change that.
It's
No.
a bit.
It's not a bit. It's
That's a
reality.
bit.
Fundamental
No.
to his
Thank
identity.
you for running to my
You
It's a
defense.
cannot change it.
It's a
The
bit.
bit is when
change
you're
it.
like, what?
I also want to
David?
announce this
No,
because
it's
this
a bit.
episode's coming out soon. I'm going to announce this. Anyone on Twitter who tweets the bit at me, I'm going to block you. right
Yes.
away.
Okay.
I've had enough of it. I fucking hate it. And sometimes people will tweet it like into conversations where like there are other people who maybe like aren't as acquainted with the podcast, and I'm like, enough. So
But
this
David,
is
do you not
fair warning.
understand
I will block you
how confusing
without
it
warning.
is when
no
you say that you
warnings.
don't want to talk about the bit and then you
Yes.
invoke this fantastical notion.
Yes.
Of something really, really,
Right.
really interesting.
Yes. Right.
Absurd that never could have happened.
That I could have grown up in another
Stop
country.
talking about the bit.
So I'll tweet about it when this episode drops. So that'll be the one universal warning, and then there's this episode. But if anyone after
Yeah.
or whenever this drops tweets this, does this joke at me, I block you. No questions asked.
Real consistent. So David is making it clear he's going to block anyone who tweets about the bit after he tweets about the bit. This fucking guy.
This is
One
like
exception, I will not block Griffin Newman because I know he's going to fuck around with this the second
I'm
he
not.
can.
I'm respecting the bit. You're the one who's dancing on its grave. Is this some BDSM thing? Do you like the discomfort of having to fight against the confines of the bit? It's
Yes,
retired.
That's what it is.
this podcast is deconstructing itself. This is like a
Exactly.
post-meta podcast
I feel like
now.
this is what happens to a podcast if it goes too on too long. The bits like start doing battle with themselves.
They metastasize.
Yeah. This podcast is greater than the sum of its bits, I would say.
Oh, see, she's right.
Can we stop fighting?
No, we're not.
Please.
We're not really fighting.
just
but I've just been
David would
thinking about
respect the
this.
rules. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Copyright F. Kerry Gray.
So that's the first Parent Trap. I mean, the first Nancy Myers. That's the Parent Trap. It's the
Yeah.
second Parent
How
Trap.
many episodes are you going to do about the Parent Trap?
I don't know. We're going to do, at least 2, and then they're going to get confused.
Yes.
And,
We'll release the episodes in an alternating order. No, it's just interesting because, especially after the Father of the Bride movies, you could see her just kind of continuing to do this.
Mm-hmm.
She very easily could have stayed in the family movie
yes,
lane
that's right.
or doing the
Even
sort
the
of
remake lane.
big glossy remake lane. Then she makes her most high concept movie next, but a movie that's decidedly an adult film,
Well, yes, but it's also the one movie she doesn't write.
which is kind of telling.
Yeah, the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking about
yeah.
What Women Want next week's episode, which is her one out and out stinker,
And
in my opinion.
far and away the most successful movie of her career.
That's the movie that was always on TV in France. when we
Really?
grew up, all the time.
I do feel like, not to paint with a broad brush, but France does love its big broad comedies,
Oh, yeah.
like, you know,
Every
farcical sort
Sunday.
of comedies.
Sunday
And
on TV.
that's in there.
Yeah, there's that. I think there was the Parent Trap sometimes.
Yeah.
But What Women Want was the big one.
The scene in What Women Want where he gets in the bathtub and electrocuted.
Of course.
That's
Seen so many
one of my
times.
earliest memories in
I-
life.
I mean, when I did like a work exchange in France, and I lived in Tours.
Yeah.
Ben's
And
looking
I
at me, but
worked,
this is fine. This is something that happened. It's canon.
worked in a menswear store. Jules, does Jules still exist?
Jules?
Yeah.
Jules? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
yeah.
know that existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Back
think
then?
it's old.
Back
yeah.
then,
Yeah, we're talking about 2003.
Do you know
Oh,
about
yeah,
this?
definitely.
David had this sexy period where he worked in a bar.
Well, that's in Paris. That's later. That's when I'm a
Oh.
grown man.
I know. David had some like sexy French times where he was very handsome and compelling.
What happened?
I moved to America like an idiot. That actually,
kidding.
literally, someone once said that to me when I was a reporter, and it was like a rainy day, and I was standing outside City Hall
Yeah.
for some council meeting, and I'm like talking to a press guy, and he was like, "Yeah, Paris," and I was like, I lived in Paris. I was a bartender, and he was like, "What are you doing here? Like, why didn't you just keep doing that?"
I just think that's so romantic that he was like a bartender in Paris
so you
after
speak
college.
French?
I do. Not very well, though. I used to speak better French. But anyway, I did work at a menswear store.
Yeah.
And I remember my parents, my host.
Mhm.
No one in this family spoke English except for him. So I would talk to him a lot. And he loved like those, like Le Placard. That was the,
Le
that
Placard,
was
yeah.
like the
Huge.
hot movie. And like he was like, you got to watch this because he knew I liked movies.
Right.
That's weird though,
So I
David,
watched that with him.
that you spent that much time in Paris and never traveled around other parts of Europe.
This was in Tours. It wasn't in Paris.
Oh, okay.
And then we went
in
to
France. I'm
Futuroscope.
just saying,
Did
there
you
are
guys ever
other
go to
great-
Futuroscope?
Yeah, we went 2 years ago. It's great.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
You should go back.
Okay. Is
Come
it
back
different?
to Europe, David.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
And Griffin as well. And Ben as well. It's fine. We can all go to Futuroscope.
We should do a
Sure.
European adventure.
To
Oh,
Futuroscope?
man.
Yeah.
Yes. You would,
Or we could
you
go to
would
Park
love
Asterix. I've never
Futuroscope.
been there.
I've never been there. My parents have. It's all right.
I went. I liked it a lot. It's weirdly sort of more because we went on an Asterix tangent in a recent episode,
we
and now
did.
there's like a whole thing in the Reddit breaking down how crazy the Asterix.
We were talking about the
franchise is.
Asterix movies because they are so mind-blowingly
so-
expensive.
Yes,
Like, they're so
they're
high
huge,
production.
But
Yeah.
the one that's good, the Cleopatra one,
uh-huh.
is so good.
Mission
It's- oh my
Cleopatra.
God.
That's the Ellen Chabat one,
Yes,
right?
so
yeah.
good.
okay.
we went to
good.
see that in the cinema in the big multiplex, and it was so popular
Yeah.
that we didn't have a seat, and we sat down the stairs.
Wow.
And they let us
Time.
do that.
They like
we had-
oversold it.
Right.
They were-
Yeah,
Is
right.
that
Maybe
the
we were up,
second
like,
or the
5.
third?
I think it's like the fourth. There's been a lot of them.
There were
There
like
were
others
that.
before
Yeah.
that, but that's when they
Of
restarted
the
doing
recent,
them.
the
It's,
Depardieu
right,
one.
it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
second
Right.
of the Depardieu.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
then the Olympics one.
Because that's the one that
Bad.
has the insane like $113 million budget.
Yes.
Because
With all
of
the
how
crazy
big
special
Cleopatra
effects.
had been.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that one did like a third of Cleopatra.
And
It
that's
was
the one
horrible.
where they have all these famous people
Right.
like doing a bit like that's like Zinedine Zidane there, and
Right,
it's the most
right.
depressing thing you've
Right.
seen. It's so bad.
And
It's really
Jamel's in that one, but is he
And,
in the
like, Alain
Cleopatra one
Delon
as
He's
well?
in Jamel Debbouze.
Yeah.
He's in Cleopatra as well.
And then Benigni's in the first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
not-
Because
he's
he
all
plays
right.
Julius Caesar?
No, he plays
No.
like the local Roman.
Right.
Like the bad
officer.
guy, yeah.
Gottfried John plays Julius Caesar in the first one.
Right.
Alain Delon plays him in the third one. in the
Crazy.
Olympic
Yeah, it's bad. Oh.
one. And then there was a fourth one, like in Britain, I think. It's called
Yeah.
like Her Majesty's Secret Service
Yeah,
or
I don't
some
think
joke
anyone
like
saw
that.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like Asterix always changes. It's always some new guy's Asterix. Obelix is always Gerard.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be
was
Christian Clavier for
Yeah.
a while, and he was
He's
really
the
good.
first two, right?
Yeah,
I'm looking at
right.
this now.
He was the best.
Right.
But then they changed it. It was really bad. Was it Clovis Cognac?
They
or
put
something?
some
Yes,
young.
but he only did it for one.
Yes, he did
Yeah.
one.
And then the fourth, and Depardieu shows up every fucking
Of
time.
course he
Collect.
does.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
He's,
Collect that
always,
check.
he's always. I think there are probably like lots of young people in France who just know him as
Which is so
Obelix.
weird.
Good.
Yeah.
Which
He's
is
so good.
He is so good. Obelix and Company, which is I read all the Asterix books 1,000 times, but
Humble
that's my
brag.
favorite one.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fucking funny.
Mhm.
Everyone should read it. You do need to read a few Asterixes
Yes.
before you read that one because it's sort of breaking the form, but it is so brilliant. And it's this hilarious satire of capitalism.
Oh.
And in which like this guy comes to Caesar and he's like, let's not try to destroy them with like soldiers. let's destroy them with capitalism. And he goes there and he starts buying menhirs, the
they're big rocks, big stones
that Obelix makes.
Yes.
And everyone's like, why are you buying them? They serve no purpose. And he's like, I just love them. So then everyone starts a menhir business and he starts buying them all and like playing them off against each other. It's so fun.
Wow.
I went to Park Asterix.
Okay.
It's really fucking cool.
Okay.
This was when I was staying with like my mom's friend's family as a teenager, and I really wanted to go to Disneyland Paris, and they were like, Disneyland Paris is for fucking babies and losers. We're going to Park Asterix, and Park Asterix has more of like a Six Flags-esque reputation that the rides are a little more intense. Like it's a little less about the theming, and the rides are kind of like thrill rides.
Right.
Yeah.
But
It's
it's
what do you want to do with Asterix? I mean, like, it's not
right,
like...
right. Like they kind of keep the aesthetics of the thing, but there's also a limited character base because it's just this one property. But the thing that's really funny about that is like a lot of Asterix merchandise, a lot of Obelix merchandise, a lot of merchandise of The Rock.
Sure.
Like because it's a limited cast, that Rock is like you could get like a plush doll, you could get a lollipop that looks like it.
That's
like
really funny.
The Rock is like equivalent to like Goofy in the Asterix universe is like the third most merchandised character. Right. And they don't even
Rock.
they don't like anthropomorphize it. There isn't like a smiling.
he doesn't
They have
eyes.
like guys in a rock costume and shit. The Rock's like a big fucking thing.
It's not a rock, it's a menhir.
It's a
a
menhir.
menhir.
I'm sorry.
That's why it's special, because he sculpted it and stuff. I'd love like a big, that's just like a pillow that just looks like a menhir.
I swear
like,
to God,
that's amazing.
I that exists. Like I remember walking in and seeing a shelf where it was Mjolnirs in different sizes,
Menhir.
and it was like here's like the Beanie Baby sized one. Here's like a huge one that's like plush, but it's like your Asterix carrying it around.
But
and it's
you
that
can carry
big.
it like this?
Yeah, of course. That's how Obelix carries it.
Yeah.
But they're so cool because they're all over Britain and Ireland too. And it's just they're these rocks. And everyone's like, who made them? We don't know. What purpose did they serve? We don't know. We just know that they made these fucking rocks and left them here for some reason.
And
Yeah.
it is the blender of
It
the
is.
Asterix
It is.
franchise.
It is.
There we go. Goodbye,
Obelix.
everybody.
Fell into the magic potion.
What a perfect note to end on. And now clearly we have to do an Asterix miniseries.
Yeah. No,
You could
you
do
just
like
talk
a
about that
French
one movie.
comedies thing.
Yeah,
Talk about the good ones.
I do find it interesting that all those movies have different directors too.
Yes. Yeah.
Alain
Alain Chabat directed the good one.
right,
Right.
and Claude
So-
Zidi did the first one, right?
I think.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough Asterix talk.
Enough Asterix
Yeah.
talk.
Although now Ben's just looking at Asterix.
Ben, actually, you would fucking love
Oh
Asterix.
my God,
They're
yes.
your kind of guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
they're a couple of scoundrels.
Definitely.
You know? Yeah, well, you know, Asterix is kind of crafty and small and clever, and Obelix is like a big bruiser.
He's
but
really
he's a
big.
sweetheart.
And
you know?
Obelix always wants to drink that magic potion, even though he doesn't need it.
Right, he
Because
doesn't.
He fell
it's
into it when he was a
inherent.
baby.
Yeah.
Right.
But
But
he
he
still
wants to
wants
do it
it
anyway.
because it's tasty, and he's just like, because it gives him like,
He wants to fit in.
superpowers.
He wants to fit in.
He's just
That's
on
the
drugs.
thing.
They
And
just
he's
drink
very
this thing
he's
that's
very
sensitive guy.
about his size.
Yeah.
But he also does love to eat like a whole wild boar. Like that's his
Yeah.
favorite food is like one,
Yes.
cooked wild
And
boar.
I just
Sanglier.
I want to
Yeah.
just like restate again in relation to the details you just heard. They are the cultural equivalent to Mickey Mouse in France.
Yeah.
Like all these weird details, and they're just like fucking beloved.
Yeah, they're the best. And every book ends with them having a huge buffet, just eating loads of
Yes,
food
yes.
and
And then
dancing.
Cacophonix is like, I'm going to sing, and they
Cacophonix
tie
is
him
called?
up.
Have you seen
Oh.
Ben look?
'Cause
Oh,
they
you're
all
right. He
have-
has a
they
different
always-
name in France.
Yeah,
What's
they
he
all have
called?
names that are like, I can't remember.
Because all the names are translated apart from
Yeah.
Asterix and Obelix.
Right.
Into,
like all the names in the French.
So what
one
do you
ends-
call
end with
Cacophonix?
X. I can't
I think
remember.
the dog is
Yeah.
called like Felix,
No.
isn't it?
Well, I need
No,
to find out.
idée
Idée fixe, which
Look-
means
yes.
look
fixed
how happy
idea.
Ben looks. He's
Oh,
so pleased.
yes. Oh, I'm so glad we introduced you.
He's
to,
like relaxed for the
'cause-
first time in
'cause,
weeks.
You know, because all the names are in America, I mean, England, not really America, are puns. So like the dog is called Dogmatix, which I believe you're right. He's called Idefix in French.
Yeah.
The druid who makes the potion is called Getafix.
Really
Amazing.
funny. Really
Where,
fucking funny. Five comedy.
okay.
In French, I believe he's called Panoramix.
Panoramics.
Panoramics. Yeah.
The chief is called Vital Statistics.
Oh wow, I
Seriously.
didn't know
Seriously.
that. Oh my god.
I forget what he's called in France.
Yeah.
And
The chief in France is called Abra Raccourcix,
jeez.
which is
means-
like Abra Raccourci, which means like with short arms.
But it also means when you're running
Yeah.
Abra Raccourci, it means
Yeah.
when you're running really fast.
Yeah.
It's like
But it's like
hard to explain.
The bard is called Cacophonix. In France, he's called Assurance Tourix.
Assurance
meaning, like,
Tourix.
comprehensive insurance.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Does that just mean he's annoying? Because like an
I don't
insurance
think it really
salesman?
means anything in France. In France, it's
a
just
funny
like words
word.
that sound like if they don't really have the meaning, doesn't really fit what they are.
I'm
And the
so
old man
I
is
don't know
called
why.
geriatrics, and the fishmonger is called unhygienics, and the metal worker is called fully automatics. Like, it keeps going. Like, it goes deep.
so
Everyone
good.
has a funny name.
I'm so happy that Asterix keeps on coming up on this podcast.
Sure, I love Asterix.
Yeah.
Um,
Assurance Tourix is the best one.
Monty and Elena, thank you so much for being here.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Of course, we won't make you take a Greyhound back. There's, of course, the blank check offer where we'll fly anyone out from any country.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they took a Greyhound because they are
Want to pocket the
of
cash.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we just gave them the cash.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll do whatever we want with that cash.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Where can people find your writing? I mean, I know it's a very complicated answer.
Well, these days, the best way is to follow us on Twitter, I would say.
Damn
So
right.
my @ is Mani Lazic,
Mhm.
MANILAZIC.
And I'm at Elazic, ELAZIC. And yeah.
And
Thanks for
that's-
parent trapping, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
for
you.
parent trapping.
Thanks for caring about the representation of twins in cinema.
Yeah.
It's a very important issue.
It's a cause that's worth fighting for.
This is basically why we are film critics. So, yeah.
Aw.
For justice.
Justice for twins.
You think all movies should have twins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
There should
mean,
be twin representation.
Sure.
2 for the
in
price
every
of
movie.
1.
Yeah.
You know, like, why not? I think every podcast should have twins as well.
To be fair, also they cheated in this movie. It's not that Lindsay Lohan does not have a twin.
In
So
real
it's
life.
like
we should
problematic
get work
casting.
to real twin
to real
actors
twins.
So, yeah.
instead of making fake
Nancy,
twins.
if you want to make a remake with twins,
Sure.
let us know.
They do keep trying
I'll
to
give
do
you
that.
like a quick life hack for how to get better twin representation instantly. Watch any 3D movie without the glasses.
Wow.
Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to Ange Fergudo for our social media, Joe Bowen and Pat Reynolds for our work, and big congrats to Joe Bowen, who just became a father.
Yes,
Oh,
Harper Bowen.
Yeah.
Congrats, Mazel Tov.
Because sometimes you do artwork, and sometimes you have a baby bounce.
David took off his earphones.
Thanks to Lane Montgomery for our theme song. Go to blankesIread.com for some real nerdy shit. And as always, put a Dennis Quaid on it. Hey, David.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you.
Okay.
Do you like diving deep into directors' complete filmographies?
Absolutely. I've actually been known to do that once in a while.
But certainly not on microphone.
No. Never.
Well, okay, more important question. Can you quote Kevin Bacon's best film, Tremors, word for word?
Sure, probably.
I mean, because you are a Kevin
am a
Bacon
big
fan,
Bacon
right?
head,
You like to put a little
number one
bacon
actor.
on the dish?
I like to put a little bacon on the dish.
Well-
That's right.
David, I got great news for you.
Yeah.
Because those are two things you like doing,
Yes.
and because you have no outlet to do them on your own podcast, what if I could recommend a podcast for you to listen to?
Okay.
The Storm of Spoilers podcast is
I
for
know
you,
the Storm
David.
of Spoilers podcast.
Look, it started out as a show about Game of Thrones.
That's true.
Much like every show started out as a show about Game of Thrones.
Or some other expended franchise.
Right, or a serial parody.
Right.
But it's become a podcast that now covers all of your pop culture obsessions. From Star Wars, a thing we never talk about on this podcast, to the complete works of Cary Fukunaga, something we probably won't have reason to talk about maybe 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, give him a couple more. Yeah, and then we can talk about him.
Some podcasts take several episodes to cover directors' filmography. Lame. Sounds too long.
Ugh, extended.
Unsustainable.
Yeah.
Your hosts at Storm of Spoilers have been known to cram it all into one.
Saves time. It's like
Saves
listening
money.
to a podcast at 10 times the speed.
It's like the Geico of podcasting.
Right.
Here's the thing, David. I'm going to tell you this very secretly. Okay? The name Storm of Spoilers is a pun on George R.R. Martin's book,
Oh, yeah. A
Yeah.
Storm of Swords. I
Right.
read it.
much like Logan's a Western. And while the show does like to dig into behind-the-scenes info, it's not an all spoilers podcast anymore. It's a good storm now.
Okay.
Like Oro Monroe.
The best storm. Master Thief.
Yeah. Not like these hurricanes.
They're bad.
Like Reuben Carter. No matter what,
Wait a second. He's
Storm of
cool.
Spoilers host Neil Miller, Joanna Robinson, Joe
Friend of the
Rowe, friend of the show, and Dave Gonzalez are always unflinchingly honest in their coverage of the film and TV you can't live without. Sometimes they cheer, and sometimes they denounce. Baby,
feel like the person who wrote this might have liked our show a little bit.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's available now on iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever you're already downloading podcasts like Blank Check with Griffin and David.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good one.